Can everybody see that?
Yep, you good, Coach.
I'm good to go.
Yep.
All right, so like I discussed, I'll just be talking about the scout, prep, and the result. We're talking about game planning today. So this first slide right here, I just want to just talk about, some of these photos here are just some of my path that's led to me doing what I do today. The best thing that I've done in my young career is married the woman that you see in this photo right here. Henrietta is a government name, but better known as Michelle. We got married on Memorial Day last year. Unbelievable young lady. Helps keep me in line, helps keep me in order, helps keep me organized. Anything that I need to prepare for, whether it's an interview, whatever it is, whether it's scout preparation, she's always a listening ear, giving ideas. She's invested. So as we know in this profession, man, like it's important to have a significant other that's truly invested in what you're trying to do, because as we know, it's hard. Time's away, time apart on the road, recruiting, in the gym, late hours. So, she's a huge reason, why I want to do what I do and want to do it well. Just for my story, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, born and raised. That's home for me. Went to Cordova High School. From there, played prep school for a year, post-grad year, went out to Scotland Campus Sports. Not Scotland Campus Sports. Now the head coach is at Scotland Campus Sports. It was actually the Patterson School back in the day. Played for a guy named Chris Chaney. Unbelievable dude, one of the best coaches, prep coaches of all time. From there, got a chance to get a Division I scholarship. Actually, it's a long story for how I ended up, in the Northwest, in the mountains, in the middle of nowhere, with not very many people that look like me. But I ended up going to Idaho State.
Dr. Perry, how you doing?
Ended up going to Idaho.
I'm doing well. I appreciate you calling back. I hope I wasn't bothering you.
And from there, I had a chance to play. Had a good career.
I talked to Coach this morning. He kind of told me his plan moving forward, so I just wanted to follow up with you.
Hey, B, you might want to mute
the protocol of whatever I need to do on my end.
Hey, B, get some work done, fellas.
Okay.
B, you want to mute the mic?
Okay.
B always working, man. He's always working.
I just texted him. Hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
B. Bird.
Okay. Your coach mentioned something, and I don't know if it was – I don't want to say it was inaccurate. I just didn't fully understand. He mentioned something about an additional –
Well, you say something we're not supposed to hear.
An additional month.
Hood, you might want to call
Is
that
that
man.
accurate?
Yeah, I'm calling him. I'm calling him right now.
You might want to mute the mic, B.
Okay. Thank you so much. Anything else you need me to do? Do you need me to follow with you on that, or you just wait to hear from
He's ignoring my call.
Okay. Sounds good.
Ignoring my call.
Oh, what up, baby?
Bird.
Oh, sorry.
You gotta mute the mic, man.
Yeah, good.
You good. Just three times all league at Idaho State. Was fortunate to do that. 3-year captain. After that, had a chance to go play professionally for a couple years. Decided from there I just wanted to go ahead and jump into the profession. Seen some of my closest friends. Me looking around, Joy Mincy being one at Florida, just seeing the success that he was having at a young age, just him jumping off in the profession instead of going to play. I just had to make a decision on what I wanted to do. And so I put the ball down as much as I love and miss it still to this day. But, I decided I wanted to do something that I knew that I would be able to do well, because I had coaches who told me that all the time. They thought that I could, because I was willing to be vocal as a player, the passion that I had every single day, and, just the mindset of and the willingness to have a motive to work hard. And, they encouraged me to just attempt to jump into the profession. And it's actually been a blessing. I've learned a lot and been able to mentor guys and been able to help guys graduate, been able to help guys get to their goals and dreams playing professional basketball. So I'm excited about it. But so let's jump into the game plan. Enough about myself. Let's talk about the weeks and days of prep. These are some keys that we can discuss. What are you looking for? What are you trying to achieve? How do you do it? Don't procrastinate, and try to never wing it. Just an opportunity for you to impress your coach, especially if it's your first time being on his staff. He just hired you. Make sure you're always extremely prepared and you know everything possible, because you don't want him to strip, an opportunity like you to be able to present to the team, being able to give a scout. You don't want him to strip that from you. I know, some of my friends on some staff, their coaches don't allow them to do scouts. I'm fortunate enough to work for a guy who, from the moment I stepped foot, working with him, he divides up the scouts between the staff, and he trusts in his staff, and it helped us grow. One thing I want to say, speak on, is eliminating ego. Because scouts would be assigned. I spoke to several of my friends before, and when they first, and just to tell you a little bit about me, just as from a coaching standpoint, I started off at Illinois Springfield there. I was doing 15, 16, 17 scouts in the year, half of the games. When I was at Our Lady of the Lake, I was doing all of the games. There was 30 games, 30-plus games. When I was at Henderson State, I was doing probably 2/3 of the games. So just when I got to the Division I level, it was an adjustment, because that was going to be cut in half. Now I'm only doing 10, 11 games in scouts. And when you're new on the block and you got a staff that's already been established, you might not be the guy that gets the most difficult games. You might not be the guy that gets, we played Auburn this year. You might not get Auburn. Southern Miss, we play Alabama this year. You might not get Alabama. You might be the guy to get non-Division I's. And you got to eliminate your ego. You got to put it at the door. You just got to always know that the head coach is trying to do what's best for the team. And you got to capitalize on what's given. Treat those non-Division I's, treat those bye games, treat those as if they're game sevens. Because if you do, that's going to build confidence in him. Your head coach is going to believe in you once he sees that you prepared. Don't treat those games as man, we're going to win anyway, so I can just show up. We'll be fine. We're going to figure out a way to win. And then it cause him to lose some confidence in you. So when the next year comes, the opportunity for him to give you a better game, he might not feel that you're ready. So treat everyone as a game seven. Be a star in your role, and always keep a chip on your shoulder. No matter how much success you have, the thing about doing these scouts, you're going to have years where you have really good years, and you're going to have years where it's not going to go as planned. So you just got to make sure you do your best. At Nichols, I built up some equity, some sweat equity with Coach, because I went 11-0 in my first year with him. Part of it, like I said, eliminate ego. I'm just being real. 4 of those games were non-Division I's. But I took those games seriously. I looked at that as an opportunity to show and prove that I was capable. And I just felt like when we moved on to our next spot, he just had that much more confidence in me. So that's why I gave y'all that info. Research, film, study, repeat. Be prepared. Like I discussed this a few seconds ago, it will give your boss confidence. You want your boss to go into the game feeling really, really good about the game plan itself. Knowing that, man, we're ready. We got a foolproof game plan. It's going to come down to us making shots, or if our guys in the right mental space, but we did everything we could between, in the time that we had allotted to get them prepared. And that's a good feeling to have. As for me, from a research standpoint, never really been much of an analytics guy. I believe in several of the concepts, don't get me wrong. But some of the websites that we use, to get those numbers, whether it's points by possession, whether it's just trying to get, just stats necessary. Hoop math is a good one to use. it kind of breaks down each individual guy, you know, where they get their points from, where they score from, where they shoot their shots from. Synergy, you can use the shot charts to do the exact same thing. KenPom, obviously, has tons of information on there. If you need it, you know, Fast Scout, you know, they have the 4 factors that you can use. You can get the stats from your SID as well, where he can give you the last 5 games, conference stats, whatever it might be. Research that you could also do is making sure that you call around. Call around to whoever you're about to play. If it's your scout, like calling around the teams that they played, teams that are in their league, just getting tons of information. The more information you have, the better chances you have. Injury reports, as we know, we've all been there before. Man, the start of the game, walking out there, warm-ups, looking down to see if somebody's limping or not. If you can get that information ahead of time, then it'll be helpful in how you build your game plan. Sometimes it might not be possible for you to get that info, so you kind of just got to play it by ear and then just maybe have a, you know, plan A, plan B. Once you realize he's not going to play, then you can say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Read the game notes prior to your game. You know, the opposing team might have some information in their game notes. Speak on those injuries. Head coach might be upset from the game prior, so he might be speaking on the emphasis that they're going to make sure that they try to focus on, whether it's toughness, discipline. So you can use those things to kind of push your guy and give them the information necessary. Film, as we know, eye in the sky, super important. Watch as much of it as possible. I know we all know from using Synergy a few years ago, actually a year ago before they updated with the new model, you know, if you wanted to get clips, you can only get like 500 at a time. You know, I've heard people, you know, do 5 games, 3 games, whatever works for you. I'm not telling you what to do, whatever works for you, but the more you watch, the more you'll be prepared for sure. Like if you can get in league, once you're in league and try to watch every single game in league, if you're 6, 7 games in, if you're 10 games in, then you're going to know, you know, what they're going to do with ATOs late in games, you know, and different ways to break down the film. You know, if it's, you know, using Synergy Editor, if it's using, you know, sports code, make sure you do it. And it's hard for us sometimes because we're on the road recruiting, you know, so use your manpower, you know, because you might have lack of time. Delegate, have someone help you with it if need be. For me, I'm somewhat of a control freak, so, you know, I try to be as hands-on with it as possible, but at the same time, I use our video coordinator. He's been, who's now the opposite NAU, Jake Riccardi. He was phenomenal with being present, you know, being available. It didn't matter if it was 12, 1, 2, a.m. in the morning, he would be available where I can call him, and he could get stuff done for me. He was great. Be ready to game plan with your boss. This is one thing that I remember, you know, coming off of a game this year, things didn't go well, like all the way around. We lost a game. We didn't play well. Actually got our ass whipped. And what's funny about it is I kind of just had a feeling. I just knew that he was going to be dialed in. Like usually he's just completely trusting in us, and he's always dialed in on the game plan, but he's not necessarily calling us into the office. And he called me in the office and he grilled me. Like, opened up his board and this board was filled with all types of detailed stuff. And luckily I had prepared. Luckily I knew what was going on, and it built even more confidence that everything that he saw, you know, I had seen, everything that he thought that we should prepare for, I had already had written down. So those are some things. Just always be ready, because you never know. You never know how your head coach could be feeling, what he could be on that day. You know, and this might be a game that he has to have. So make sure you're always prepared. Detailed scout, be thorough. Quote I just said is the entire staff needs to be able to read the scout and know they are prepared. Sometimes, as we know, the players don't really want to read it, right? But we can quiz them and try to make sure that they do. But you want to make sure that the staff itself, if they were to read it, they feel like when it's time for them to go out there, they know exactly what we need to do and accomplish for us to win the game. The ways we break it down is right here to the right. You know, you got we start out with the 5 keys. You know, you got your personnel, you got a defensive scout, an offensive scout, discuss your special teams, and drawing up sets and plays. Now for the guys, we don't give them all of that information. But for the staff, we give them as much information as possible. Might not be able to use it all. They might not be able to read it all, but just for them to have it, just in case they do, then it'll be great. This is just an example right here, just a photo of 5 kids. I'm sure a lot of y'all looking like, damn, that's a lot of words. These damn kids ain't gonna read that. And that's true. Sometimes we super simplify it to where we just got what's bolded, written down, and then sometimes we got the information. It just depends on how detailed you want to be. What I've done at times is when it's time to get a video scout, I would have one of the top 8, one of the top 9 read those things. So they read it out loud. And obviously you want to have somebody who's capable, but you want someone to, someone that they trust, someone that can soak it all in and have an understanding. So when they read it, they're having more of an understanding of what we need to do in practice today. But then on top of it, like, you know that the players are going to be listening to them because they're a leader on the team. So I would go through each individual guy. They would read it out. And I feel like sometimes it would help things soak in a little bit better. Sometimes might not have time to do that. And, you might have 1 or 2 guys on your staff. 1 or 2 guys on your team who are super cerebral, super intelligent, that are going to read it for sure. And they can be assistants on the bench, whether a walk-on, or they can be assistants just as a player, just with calling out plays, recognizing when, they're doing certain things on the other end that we might not be able to see. So, it's important to have, information for them like that if possible. Personnel, that's just like our personnel sheet. We do it different ways. Right here is his game, how to defend. We've also done it his game. How does he score, how to defend, breaking it down in 3 different ways. And just discussing, glaring weaknesses and tendencies that could be of help, highlighting his strengths so they'll understand that he's a good player. Just trying to have somewhat of a balance of maybe not too much talking about how good they are. So guys, if you got some scary guys on your team where they're not getting intimidated, but also like speaking on what we're going to have to accomplish to be able to stop them. If they're right hand dominant, if they're not really good once they put the ball down on the floor, they can't really shoot it once they put it down on the floor, so then immediately gap them. If this team, if he's a complete non-shooter, you need to monster him. However you need to guard him, it's just this hopefully will be able to give them that information. Defensive game plan, these are some things that you could, just to help you build your defensive game plan. How are we going to guard what they do? What can we take away? Who won't beat us? Who's incapable? And then at that point, like, we got to pick our poison depending on if they're a really good team. They got, everything. Like, we played Richmond this upcoming year. It didn't go well for us. They were really, really good. They had everything. They had shooters. They had guys who could really think the game. They had guys that were unselfish. They moved the ball really, really well. They had an unbelievable low post presence. So at that point, like, building your game plan, you got to pick your poison and be able to live with it. Defensive game plan, intricacies. Some people do quick summaries. That's what we do to start it off. Discuss press offense. Who takes the ball out. That's important. If you're a team that press, you got to make sure you know who's taking the ball out so you can game plan, especially if it's a man-to-man press, so you know who you want to have on the ball. Transition, pace, how fast they play, what they're trying to do in transition, ball screens, hit heads, attacking, getting downhill, just having an understanding with that. Man zone actions, post entries, what they like to do there, how we're going to guard it once the ball goes into the post. We're going to double it. We're going to stay home. We're going to go on the bounce. Just different ways that you can do it. Early, late clock actions, just having an understanding of what they're trying to accomplish early in the shot clock, late in the shot clock, and our guys having an understanding of that. So, you have those buzzwords, whether it's, I work for a dude. When I was at Henderson State, if it got below 12 seconds, the whole squad was screaming out balls, because you got to have some balls to be able to get a stop at this point in the clock. And at that point, we also knew exactly where we would shift the ball, exactly what side, if a ball screen was said was a flat, where we would go. So just having those buzzwords and having a uniform vocabulary that could help. Block defense, obviously, is a huge part as well. Offensive game plan, Where are they weakest defensively? How can we exploit that? Are they going to do what they do? Like Virginia, obviously they're the best in the country at doing what they do. Or are they going to be gimmicky? I've seen a million different ways work. I work for a guy who he's not married to one thing. He's not. He's willing to adjust. He's willing to pivot. Like our strength coach was talking about, we had a conversation the other day. He's willing to pivot. Like he's not afraid to make adjustments depending on what our roster look like, how our team looks like, what their mental capacity is, if we need to oversimplify, if we can, be more structured. We just have a really good gauge on, our guys and what they can do. Mismatches, how you can exploit those. If you want to, ball screens, just different actions that you can get, where you can get your better players in spots where they can score the ball with, a lesser defender guarding them, taking advantages of their zone. Mismatches might be on the backside. Mismatches might be, on their wings, who might not be able to move their feet very well. So those are different ways. The intricacies from an offensive game plan, press defense, overall coverage, how they will defend your money actions, which is very, very important. How they'll defend down screens, how they'll defend back screens, flare screens, defend your base offense, defend the post, blob defense, just knowing all of those things, especially if you have an offensive coach. Like the dude that I worked for prior to working for Riley, he allowed me, he wanted to know more about that. Riley's an offensive dude. So, I discuss those things. I'll tell him if I feel like it's something glaring, if I feel like it's something that he really, really needs to know that he might not see, I make sure I let him know about it so he can look it over. But from an offensive standpoint, he's very dialed in. He comes up with his creative things on his own. But still knowing those things, because it'll be important to help your head coach if he's not that much of an offensive dude, because as you know, we got to be able to score. Defense wins championships, but at the end of the day, you still got to be able to put the ball in the hole. Special teams, everybody knows you got to be able to win the special teams battle, if you want to have a good team. If that's, blob offense, being able to score baseline out of bounds, being able to score sideline out of bounds, being able to score free throw breaks, being able to get stops in those things as well. If you can win that battle, I think that really improves your chances at winning the game for sure. Drawn up sets, this is, just at the end. Scouting report, obviously, you don't have to have these for your players, but just for everyone else. I do it for myself because it helps me, because once I draw the play up, I feel like I don't need necessarily paper when it's time for me to deliver my scout in practice or, in walkthrough. So I try to make sure that I always write it down. Fast Scout has been great to me. Some people just write it down on their own. I think it can really help you if you do have things written down like this, though. Days of prep. I think this is very, very important. Having the actions ready. This is one thing the coach here has challenged me to do. I think it's really, really helped me as a coach and actually helped us our flow with practice. Having the actions ready, knowing what the money actions are, depending on who we're playing, depending on how you're guarding. Like at Nichols, we played primarily man-to-man, all man, 90% man. Here we play primarily zone. So just having an understanding of what can actually beat you. Some people like to do every single play, every single action, more power to you. Some people like to do, just 5 to 10 to 5 to 15 different money actions to make sure you're going over what, can really, really hurt you. I encourage, the assistants on the phone call to get the players, like get your scout team in there early. Like get them in there. If you got practice at 2, get them in there at, if practice is at 2, your strength coach is going to start doing a dynamic warm-up at 1:45. Try to get them in there at 1:15 or 1 o'clock and go through everything that you think from a money standpoint that you would want to go over, so they'll have an understanding of what it is. We all got players that when they get in scouts, some of these dudes, if they're sit-outs, they think they're in Mamba mode, so they want to break off a play every single time, want to shoot balls every single time. Some don't value running the actual offense, especially if it's a continuity style offense. Like, so getting them in there as early as possible to be able to go through. So when it's time for you to get into practice, coach is like, you can just say like, coach, I've already gone through this. Like, they're ready. So I don't have to get out there and walk them to this spot, walk them to that spot and say, okay, this is what we're doing. I can just say, okay, let's run so-and-so, let's run so-and-so. And then next thing you know, they're out there running it, and they're running it well because they got, 20 to 30 minutes of preparation in ahead of time. So I encourage you guys to do that. Be assertive when you're out there on the floor. The delivery is everything. Have a great presence, have a great command, like looking guys in the eyes, eye contact, especially the ones that aren't great listeners that might daze off into the sunset. Make sure they have an understanding of what you're trying to accomplish. Be prepared. They know when you're not. Like, they can tell when you're fumbling over your words. They can tell when you're not certain. They can tell when you're not confident. And if you are confident and you're saying certain things with conviction, I think that's going to give them confidence to be able to execute what you want them to execute. And coaches on me all the time, like, and I'm not one to carry a piece of paper with me all the time, but, he's challenged me. If you don't got a paper, that means you're ready. That means you're prepared. Like, if you're not looking down at notes, every dead ball instead of watching the action, that means you're prepared. So do what you got to do. Watch as much as you can. Prepare yourself as much as you can, even if that means sleepless nights, to make sure that you know exactly what's going on. Personnel clip tapes, just make sure it's clean. Make sure, it's not a ton of information. Make sure, it has the things that are important. Obviously dimensions, size, whatever they might do. If they're a high-level rebounder, high percentage guy, low percentage guy, high turnover guy, high assist guy, and then, just some of the things that they do really, really well. And the same thing, when you're giving your video scout, make sure you do the exact same thing. Speak with conviction. Make sure your tapes aren't extremely long, because as we know, some of these kids can't focus very long. If you got a team that can, then you can do it. But if you don't, make sure you only have, 4, 5, 6 clips of each individual guy. And I'm saying it, but I'm the worst. Sometimes I want to have 7 to 10 because I feel like just one more clip might be the difference. And, you don't want to make sure you overload them. And if you feel like you need to get them in there individually, then do that. Night before the game, we use Fast Scout. We help guys with. We have the scout that's in an app, and then there we upload the film. So the personnel clips, they'll be uploaded. The game, the sets, the plays, they'll be uploaded. So, the guys that really, really are invested, the guys that you can really count on, the guys that you'll have in the game probably at the end of the game, they'll be the guys watching it for sure. You can monitor it. You can see how much time, like who all they clicked on, how much they watched, how many hours they watched. And usually the ones that, are dialed in like that, who watch the most film, it's a reason why they're the ones that you can count on to play significant minutes. Quiz them. Use technology the best way you can. Send the scout through their phones. A lot of times they might lose the paper, so you can send the PDF to their phone, and doing extra film, calling them in and trying to help those guys. Hours before the tip, like slideshows, however you want to do it, like constant reminders throughout the day. Like every time you see them, if you're in the hotel, just quiz them, bringing something up, just letting them know, just making sure that they're all on the same page. Coach, he's big on, having a young staff, guys who are mobile. We actually on game days get out there on the floor. Like, we're the ones, the coaches, the GAs, the coaches and the GAs are the ones running through the action. And we're actually out there going like full speed. So we're actually out there trying to get a bucket. So because we are, a lot of the times our guys are really dialed in because they don't want their coach to like show them up. And that's something that we've done this year. And I feel like it's really helped our, our walkthroughs and helped the focus because, they don't want to get showed up by their coaches. Warm-ups, just have a plan with your warm-ups, have some structure, going over the things, the shots that they're going to get in game, depending on how they're going to guard you. Don't just do the exact same warm-up every single time. Make sure that you're preparing, the guys to be successful in that game, in their setting. If they're going to get a lot of stuff at the rim because they're going to be out denying, then you want to have, tons of finishes. If it's going to be where they're going to get a lot of shots, on the perimeter, you want to make sure they know which shots they're going to get. And you get as many reps as you can in walkthrough and in warm-ups to make sure that they're confident and that they're ready to shoot their ball in when the opportunity presents itself. For the game time, pregame speech, buzzwords, reminders, use hype videos. Those things are helpful. Just having your video guy come up with a video to spark some interest, get the guys going. Dude that we work with at South Alabama, Nemo Midvar, is unbelievable. He came up with a contract, wrote it down on the board, and I thought it was unbelievable idea. One of the best ideas I've ever seen. They had to all get up there and sign the contract on they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And we actually played probably the best defensive game we played the entire year when we did that. So just have some creativity. You need coffee, you need energy drinks, whatever you need to make sure, because you were up all night, that's fine too. In-game seating, we kind of do things like Texas do with Shaka. We spread out throughout the bench and sit with our position guys. And I feel like that's been great for us to be able to keep our guys alert, dialed in, instead of us all being on one end and they're being down there sitting back upset because they just came out of the game. And then you'll be surprised by you screaming out actions and you talking, they're having more understanding when it's time for them to sub in the game, and it really actually increases, it helps their performance. Halftime adjustments, actual play calls, because if you can't get the play calls from calling around, name it whatever you need to name it. And then once you get the actual call, just make an adjustment to say this is what they're calling it. So, that might be a trigger for the guys who are, quick enough to think on their feet. The critique, be honest with yourself. Take accountability for your mistakes. You made some mistakes. If you didn't scream out of a timeout, look for the lob, be alert for the lob, and they come out and they throw a lob and get the crowd rocking. Be accountable for that. Learn from it, move on, and look to improve. And if there's a round two, try to utilize, what you learn. Write some things down, so when that round two comes, that that, okay, you can look back and say, oh, okay, this is what we need to improve. This is what we didn't do well. This is what we got to make sure we do better this game. And I think if you do those things, some of these things that I spoke on today, I think hopefully they'll be able to help you, as in game planning, scouts, and delivery, that can just help you be, a better assistant.
Hey, Amorrow, Kareem Brown here from Niagara County Community College. How often are you doing your team scouts?
Meaning, how many games or?
No. How often? So you have a scout on. You have a game on Saturday. How many times do you meet with your team with those scouts?
It just depends. I think it all depends on your team and their mental capacity. Like I said, we're not married to one way. I've been places where we've done it, 3 nights in a row. I've been places where we've done it 2 days prior. I've also been places where you do it on the day of only, So I think it's just important to recognize, how your team is, their ability to focus, their ability to take things in. Maybe doing it on the day of could be a help. I think it's just recognizing the group of guys that you have.
Coach Morgan, Lester Stewart, Casper College. Congrats on a great season. Great recruiting class you guys have coming in as well.
Coach Les, you know any of the players that they got, Coach Les, by any chance?
I just seen they were number one in the Sun Belt. I don't know too many guys they have.
Oh, gotcha. That makes sense. Okay.
I don't know.
Hey, leave that man alone, Burton.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think they got a JUCO kid. I'm not sure.
Hey, Les, you good? Go ahead, ask your question, brother.
Hey, Coach Morgan. So when you said as far as the preparation, so say in an instance where I'm at, we play, preseason is Friday, Saturday normally, right? So it's back to back. And when you were in those situations, because I know you coached at the lower levels, how were you able to? Did you get ahead of yourself at times? Because I know this past year I had experience like playing a back-to-back. Like I would try to get done. So, I would try to get done like a Wednesday and then so I could start prepping for Saturday because of the quick turnaround. So when you were at, the lower levels, how did you prepare? And then my second question is this available on, can you email this out to anyone that wants it? I can give you my email I can text you my email if you need it.
Yeah, those are great questions. And yeah, just from an email standpoint, yeah, absolutely. I feel like we got to continue to do a better job of sharing and helping each other. Obviously, there's sometimes we don't want to do it because, we think helping somebody else might not be helping ourselves or whatever. But I think you just got to give the best way you can. And I think everything else will take care of itself. But as for the question that you asked, I thought it was a great question because I actually dealt with it as Burden was speaking on when I was at Our Lady of the Lake. We had back-to-backs. We played Friday, Saturdays. And what was crazy is that's what we did my senior year, actually, at the Division I level at Idaho State in the Big Sky. So I called around. I called, a couple of my coaches at that time and asked what they did if they had a back-to-back in their situation. And what they told me was, and some of the things that I came up with that worked for me were to, if you play Friday, Saturday, so I don't know if it's Saturday, Sunday, or if it's Friday, Saturday. If you play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, utilize Sunday, Monday to get as much information done as you can on the team that you play on the next Saturday. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, really dial in on Friday. And then once that time comes for a Saturday for you to perform, you've already done some work ahead of time that could really, really, you don't feel like you're starting completely from scratch. Because I know how that is. Like, you just got off, you had good win, cloud nine. You and the coach go get something to eat. Now you got to go back to the office 12 at night. Now you got to prepare. You got to come up with an entire scout. And it's hard to be as detailed as what you want to be in a back-to-back like that. So I would say use Sunday and Monday to the best of your advantage. And yeah, we're super excited about David Walker. Lester, extremely excited about him. He's going to be a special player at this level, man. He's very, very gifted, very, very talented. You did a great job with recruiting him there. You did a great job with recruiting a lot of their team. Like y'all have done a phenomenal job at Casper, and we're super excited to have him.
Thank you.
Amorrow, Jonathan Maddox, Morehead State. How long is your final edit that you're going to show to the team and do? Like sometimes we split it up. Sometimes we may just show the opposing sets one day and then come back and do defense the next. How do y'all do it, and how long is your final video edit?
So it just depends on. I think it's very dependent on your boss. Like he's willing to, for us, allow us to just do our thing. So if we go after practice, he might not come in there. So if he's in there, then it's probably you probably need to be hitting tab on some of them clips. If you got a few extra clips, if you got about 10 clips on one guy, you probably need to be ready to hit tab because he's gonna want it to be 4 to 6 clips. But I would say personnel-wise, it's usually somewhere around 6 to 8 minutes personnel-wise. And then I would say just from the actions, I would say it'll probably be an additional 5. So I would say somewhere between 12 to 15. Obviously, you rewinding, discussing things, that can become 20 to 30. But I think it just depends on who you work for and if he's willing to allow you to. And if not, I work for some guys that wanted to be short, wanted to be 15 minutes, wanted to get the guys in and out, didn't want them in their tons. So at that time, you might need to pull up on them, go to their cribs, sit down with them, have them over to your place, watch some additional film if you feel like there's some things that you weren't able to go over. I hope that answers.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You already know what's up, Maddox. You already know what's up.
My man.
Amorrow, what's up, man?
Bro, what's up, baby? What's going
Not
on?
much, man. Hey, I just I kind of want to pick your brain about what did you learn at each of your stops as you kept moving up. And the second part of that question is the development of Trey Mitchell. You know, I'm an Atlanta guy, so I love my Atlanta guys. Y'all had Trey Mitchell, so I want to talk a little bit about his development that y'all had.
Yeah, for sure. As for things that I learned at each stop, I think the first stop, I think I learned how to be, a really, really good team player. I was just learning basically the business, like what I'm supposed to do. Like I got hired in August. It was a Division II level, Illinois Springfield. And I kind of had some understanding, but truthfully be told, I didn't really know what I was doing. So I was just eager, asking questions and just trying to figure it all out. When I got to Our Lady of the Lake, I think a big thing that I learned was to humble myself as a player. Just, you're the one with the gear. You're the one putting the gear on that's already hung up. You're the one out on the floor working out all the time. To humble myself to be available at any given minute, to be able to get in the gym at any given minute with these dudes. It didn't matter if it was 5 a.m., 6 a.m. If I got to be there till 10 p.m. at night, washing the laundry, mopping the floors, I think, and my second stop, I think that was extremely humbling just for me on what it takes to win. We actually had some success. We went to the Sweet 16. We won the most games that program has won in school history. It was 26 games. Worked for a dude named Ron Wall unbelievable ball coach. Unbelievable. I learned so much from him. And in that year's time, best press coach that I've ever worked for. Like, we ran 5 or 6 presses, and I'm talking about each one are extremely detailed. Defensively, he was a juggernaut as well. But he also gave me a lot of responsibility. He allowed me to put in, some offense. He allowed me to put in some things. And, he was very open with me about the profession and what it took. So I learned a lot in that spot for sure. Going to Henderson State, working for Jimmy Elgis, unbelievable ball coach. At that time, he had been a 25-year assistant coach at Division I level. Was associate head coach at Kansas State at one point when Jim Woolridge was there. Was assistant at Texas State back when they had Jeff Foster, who played for the Indiana Pacers. So he was super dialed in on how to be extremely detailed from recruiting, like every single thing. He was a part of the movement where, when they would get done, when they would leave an event, they would have to walk into the airport, and he said it'd be 25 people, 25 coaches lined up at the payphone, like trying to get a hold of their coach and tell them what they just seen. Just how to basically surround a kid in recruiting, get to know everybody in his circle, to be able to utilize that. But then on top of that, just from he gave me a lot of responsibility from a coach's standpoint too. Like, he really taught me how to game plan. I got to give him tons and tons of credit on that. Like, the details of it, exactly what to look for. Like, he was very, very, very hands-on with me because I was his only full-time assistant. But then here at Nichols, like, I learned how to put my ego to the side and work with a staff and be a part of a family. And I really feel like we were truly a family there. Like, I learned from each of those dudes. Austin Clunch, one of the best young head coaches in all of America. Unbelievable, sharp. Like, you'd be surprised. Like, he's as good as anybody I've ever seen with relationships. Like, dudes absolutely love him. I'm talking about love him. Unbelievable. So I learned from him every single day in that aspect. He was an unbelievable workhorse as well. John Aiken, unbelievable coach, unbelievable mentor. Tyler Parker, one of the biggest, wildest motors in all of college basketball, man. He's going to be a special star. Like, he's up all night. Like, he has to have it. He's a worker. Like, he's willing to outwork or attempt to outwork just about anybody. And that because of that, he's going to have some success. So just be able to learn to work with a group of dudes as a family, I think that was huge for me. And then here, Coach just gave me a lot more responsibility because we lost 2 of those assistants, and me and Tyler were the only 2 dudes that knew exactly how he wanted things to be done. So just diving off in everything and just being willing to like just be more, I want to say, aggressive. Like instead of sitting back at nickels when I came on the scene, I was trying to figure out what they did well. I actually knew what we did well, and being more aggressive and making sure that we implement what needed to be implemented into our program in order for us to change the culture here, because there was some issues with it, just with like work. Some of the kids didn't like to work like that. You know what I mean? So we were just trying to get them to work harder, you know. So that's a huge thing with Trey Mitchell. Like you asked me about, like Trey Mitchell, and I talk with Russ Williamson, good friend of mine. I talk with him all the time. Like Trey always had the willingness to work. He always had it. Like Russ said, he would get in the gym with him in the mornings and things like that. But he's not gonna do it on his own. He's not. He's gonna sit at the crib, like in the dark, kicking it. Like that's just who he is. Like cooling. What's up, Trey? Man, you know me, I'm just cooling, coach. Like, and I tell him all the time, bro, you want to be successful, you can't be cooling it. Like if you wanna be successful and make this bread that you could potentially make, like you gotta be like forward thinking. You gotta like want to do something. And being on him every single day about his focus and his habits and his want to. But then on top of that, like we needed him to be good in year one in order for us to be good. Like he was our most talented guy by far, Cabrera. Like, as you know, he was always talented coming up in Atlanta at Pebblebrook, but he played with so many other good players. It's like he was a programmed robot to think that he only needed to play defense, and that was his only focus. And I had to, like, we would have extreme conversations on, hey man, like, bro, coach is telling you, like, you can shoot a ball from anywhere and he's not going to be mad about it. Like, you have to be aggressive. And at times he didn't want to do that. It took us literally a whole semester to get him to understand that, hey man, you're the dude. But we spent countless hours in the gym. I'm talking about countless hours in the gym, countless hours in the office watching film, trying to help him understand his why, what he's trying to accomplish, what he wants to achieve. And like, he became a monster. He was already a defensive monster, but his confidence went through the roof, and he started feeling like and believing that, like, literally, like, I'm one of the best players on the court every single night. And I'm glad that he's found it. I just hope that he continues to keep doing that, because if he does, he's going to be able to play the game for a long time.
Hey, Coach. Jalen Little here from Chadron State. Appreciate the free game, man, for real.
No,
when you mentioned something about the glaring weaknesses,
yeah,
as far as the individual scouts go,
yeah,
how do y'all go against how do y'all adjust if their weakness goes against y'all system of play?
Well, it just depends. Like, if their weaknesses are extremely glaring to the point where, like I said, like if he's like a complete non-shooter and we can completely close out short, it'd be closer on the double, being closer and helping a gap on someone who's an unbelievable player, ISO player, slasher, then, you know, we might have to make that adjustment just for this game and this one time being. And
okay,
we have to make sure they understand it. Like, this is not going to be something that we continue to keep doing, but for this game, this is going to be a huge reason why we get what we need to get done. If there are guys that's not, you know, capable of finishing at the rim at all, we want to make sure we talk to our guys about what the pros discuss as cleansing yourself at the rim, making sure that we don't bail them out, making sure that they have to finish over you and the defender. So if you're guarding the ball, you need to stay attached to his hip, and he has to finish over you and the help side defender. And when he attempts to finish over the help side defender, he needs to cleanse himself. Don't foul him, don't bail him out, because they're probably not going to make the shot. They're going to miss it. Now we need to come up with the defensive rebound so we can get out and push. So it really just depends. We usually try to do what we do and do it well, but there are some instances if they have some really, really good players like DeMarcus Simons was, you know, in the past at Georgia State, then you might have to make an adjustment, because if you don't, you know, he might be able to go get one any given time.
Appreciate you.
Hey, Coach. Oh, hey,
Mark,
Coach.
couple questions real quick I got for you. Did a great job, man. Appreciate you breaking it all down in detail. Question, when you're doing your scout, first part question is, do you have a template of all those different questions that you ask, or do you have something you're looking at to answer those questions to kind of make sure you consistently go through that? And is that something that everybody's doing or just you? And then second, do you have any post-game self-scout stuff that you do to kind of see how you graded in the things you were trying to accomplish in your scout?
Them are unbelievable questions. Don't have a post-game self-scout, but I need one. That's an unbelievable idea. Like, you know, you brilliant dude, smart dude. So I'm gonna add that to the something that I definitely need to do for self, just to be able to have it to revert back to. I usually just write down some things, whether it's on the back of the scout or another piece of paper, and I staple it together on what we didn't do well, what we did do well, just as a reminder. But definitely I need to come up with a template, self-scout for sure. But as for the first question that you asked, we have a template as a staff. I think we do it our own ways, but at the same time, I think the template that's in place has all of those questions basically for you right there. So you can fill them in if you need to. You can write something right there if you need to. But I usually try to make sure I have, you know, defend this action, defend down screens, defend back screens. I make sure I always have that like already written down. And then if it's not anything, I'll either just delete it or I'll just don't put anything next to it. Or if it's something that I need to make sure I speak on, then I write, you know, what's necessary. But I usually have the template set in stone, and I utilize that template, which has been really, really good for me.
No, that's good. Appreciate it. Let's take two more questions, and then we'll let Amorrow kind of relax a little bit, get off the hot seat, and then we'll pass the hot seat on to Vince.
Amorrow, got a question for you. Justin Bailey here at Pitt State, man. Hey, you mentioned earlier that you guys aren't really married to the game. If it's your scout and you feel really confident that you may need to change the starting lineup for that game, does your head coach, you know, listen to it? Is it something you guys can kind of stick to with the five you already got? How do you game plan for that?
You know, if it's something you believe in, like, it's okay to like speak on it. Like, if you think it's the number one thing is us winning, right? We gotta win the game. And that's the number one thing. So if it's something that you firmly believe, it's okay to speak on it. Might not agree with it, might get told no. You gotta handle yourself like an adult when you get told no. But you might want to bring it up again and maybe one more time. And then if he says no again, then that's it. It's over and done with. Now you gotta adjust, you gotta adapt, you gotta figure it out. But sometimes, you know, you might get told no to see if you really feel strongly about it and see if you want to come back. I don't think coach is one of those dudes like that. It has to be done a certain way. Like, he wants the team to be successful. He wants the guys to be successful. So, you know, he trusts us as a staff. So if it's something that we feel strongly about, he'll listen. He'll truly listen. But at the end of the day, he's gonna make his own decision. But you know, if he chooses to go with it, then great. You gotta make sure that you're ready even more to make sure that that plan works and make sure that that guy that you got put into the starting lineup, that he has a complete understanding of what's going on, so things don't look completely different. But if he tells you no, you know, just chalk it up and it is what it is.
Appreciate that.
Coach Morgan, got a question for you, man. You mentioned earlier that you guys, when you transferred from, made the move from Nicholls State over to South Alabama, at Nicholls State you played more man, and at South you guys are playing a little bit more zone. I just wanted to kind of know what went into that decision. And as you're doing scouts, knowing that you guys are playing more zone, do you still focus on knowing their man-to-man actions, or do you just kind of lock in on what they do versus zone and how you guys need to guard that?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think, and what's going on, Coach Ford? South Alabama alone right there, man. But with that being said, it's one of those things that I think it's just dependent on our roster, the makeup of our roster. We had some guys this year that we had to have on the floor. The last 2 years, actually, that we had to have on the floor that had no interest in hedging a ball screen, trapping a ball screen, moving their feet, sprinting out, running to the rim, but we had to have them on the floor because it was that good of a force offensively. So we had to figure out a way to keep him on the floor. And then on top of that, we had, him and then Trey Mitchell as well. They were played such huge roles in what we did offensively and defensively that it was one of those things that we had to make sure we protected them. And what was the best way we were going to keep them out of foul trouble? That was, them picking up 2 fouls, 3 fouls, and we're like, Lord, we're looking down the bench. And we've had some sit-outs. So in year one, we had 4 guys sitting out. This year we had 2 guys sitting out. And then another guy that was injured. So we were playing not with a complete roster either year. So we had to figure out what worked best for that group of guys, I think, which led to it. But we also have, Adam Howard's, he's a great zone coach. We ran his zone in year one. And, this year I think we ran some hybrid. And just with the intricacies of all the details of what's necessary, like when it's time to game plan for, like we usually just dial in completely on what we're trying to do. So if we're playing zone, then we just dial in on zone. We don't even really worry about man. Now, me or the other assistant who scouted is, you have an understanding of what's going on just in case. Like if they're shooting us completely out the zone, they're up 20 and we gotta go man. The guys can't be out there completely running around like a chicken with the head cut off. They might not know what's going on, but we need to be able to give them some sort of direction. So I think individually as a coach, you need to be prepared and know the information. But as for our players, we don't want to overload. We want to simplify it and make sure that they're playing hard, running through a wall. And the last thing we ever want to do is paralyze them. If you got cerebral group of dudes, then they might be able to take in both. But for the most part, the way we do things is we just try to make sure the number one focus is how hard they're playing. And with that being said, when we were playing man, we were focused on, we did things one way. We were trapping ball screens. We were siding down side ball screens. It was very simple. They knew exactly what they were going to do, understood the pace. And in zone, our zone is very detailed as well. So it has a lot of rules and things like that. So we feel like if we overload them too much, then, it limits our chances of us being good at either or. So hopefully I answered that question.
Appreciate it, Coach.
I guess I'll fire off the last one then, since no one else is saying anything. What up, man? And South Alabama is their own stylist. Seriously, their coach is always the freshest on the road. They get Yeezys. Like, again, if you need Yeezys, call him. That's what I get mine.
And Adam's saying that because he's looking at their Yeezys like, man, those kind of like mine.
No. So if you need some Yeezys, seriously, if you're Adidas, call them up, man. They got the hookup. But no, my deal again is not about the scouting point. I'm just looking at you guys' schedule. You know what I mean? Guys sitting there, you're 12 and 11. Then you reel off 8 in a row. You know what I mean? To end the season, obviously for COVID. What changed for you guys? Like what changed? Because you guys are sitting there, you can go to crosswords. You're 12 and 11. You're 5 and 7 in league. Then all of a sudden, boom, you roll off. Rattle off 8 in a row. It could have went the other way, but it went, the right way for you guys. What kind of changed, and can you just speak to that a little bit?
I think we really, at that point, as 12 and 11, and that's not awful, but at the same time, we were picked to win the league, so that's definitely considered to be underachieving. So at that time, guys aren't feeling the best, players aren't feeling the best, coaches aren't feeling the best, community aren't feeling the best. I think we did a really, really good job of, we could have made a decision as a staff to go one way or the other. Like, obviously, we weren't playing well, so that meant they weren't listening to us. They were trying to do their own thing. A lot of times they was saying F us or saying some wild stuff that we didn't like that might have rubbed us the wrong way and led to us not liking them even more. But we had to really do whatever we had to do to reel them back in and get them understanding exactly what we haven't been doing well. Like, there's a reason why we haven't been winning games. Like, we've been in games, and then at times we haven't been in games. So I think we did a really, really good job of reeling them back in, had some meetings, had some discussion, guys opened up, spoke their minds, and we listened. And then we spoke our minds. And that was the end of it from there. And then at that point, we were focused on moving forward. But then also, we really dialed in on what we weren't doing well. Like at that time, because we thought we were really good and all these videos we were putting out and all that, we were on some pretty stuff. And we really dialed in on the gritty stuff instead, just as in 50-50 balls, toughness plays, charges, one shot and out. You know, just focusing on what it takes to really win basketball games. And we knew if we could get that through them, that we were going to be able to score. Scoring wasn't an issue. But some of our guys were so focused on putting the ball in the hole, their points, their production, what people back home were worried about, hitting them up, why you ain't doing this, why you ain't doing that they weren't focused on what we needed them to be focused on. So I think we did an unbelievable job as a staff. I want to give credit to our director of basketball performance. I want to give credit Brandon Coon. He spends more time with them than anybody. Strength coach, huge. Him preaching the same message you're preaching I think is vital. Tyler Parker, my coaches, Adam Howard, Emmanuel Tommy, like we did it as a group. Came over with a schedule, got in the gym with those guys more, loved on them more, and just got them dialed in on what it took for us to do what we were trying to do. And once they got out of their feelings, because they were in their feelings, once they got past that, they were dialed in on like what it took for us to do what we needed to do. And I think we just hit that point once we hit that point and got over the hump and won a couple tough ones on the road, our guys started feeling confident enough to feeling like they couldn't lose. And it was the reason why we didn't lose a game the entire month of February. Like, and that was the confidence that they had. But then on top of that, once we had that success, we still kept doing those things. We didn't want to lose them again because we knew what got us there. And it took a lot of time, took a lot of, man hours. It took, it took a lot of manpower. But we had to reel them back in before, like you said, it could have completely went the opposite direction.
Awesome, man. Congrats, too.
Thanks, bro.
Scoot, you got something or you good? Scootero made it seem like he had something for you, Mar. I don't know if it's some cross-state lines, request. I don't know what he got for you, man. You got to watch them Arkansas backwoods dudes, man.
Hey, I just know Amorrow is all about sharing. He's such a nice guy. I want to know if he'd share that Arkansas State's guy with me.
Never. And shoot, y'all beat us the last time we played anyway.
I mean, you said we got to share more, so I just wanted to, make sure.
Man, that's certain thing we don't do, brother. I'm sorry.
Nah. Hey, everything Amorrow said, man, is what those guys stand for. They do a hell of a job in South Alabama.
Appreciate you.
You guys they work their butt off.
You already know, man. Family, man. You already know what's up.
So Morrow will be on if you want to hang around, Morrow. If you got to go, let us know. But if you can hang around, you got more questions for Morrow, we'll save that to the end. Scoot, I'll let you I'm going to talk about Vince for a second, but I'll let you co-introduce him. Vince, I haven't known Vince an extremely long time, but since I've known him, he's just always kind of been one of those people that I've connected with and always kind of had a long-standing just understanding kind of what's understood don't have to be said type of thing. And he's always been a first-class, top-shelf, great dude, big-time man of faith. I've gotten to know him even closer during this COVID-19 time. I'm on a Zoom call with him talking about faith, man, talking about our faith walk. And we've had some really in-depth phone conversations, and he's just a phenomenal human being. He's been over 20 years in the game, been at Elon, Arkansas State, has been at IMG a couple times, has been at Liberty as well, and now he's at A&M with, one of the highest level head coaches in the country, and Buzz Williams. So excited to have him on, excited to have him share some wisdom with us and some knowledge and some things from his career, and just fortunate to have, like I said, just two top shelf human beings. I think these are the type of guys that in his business don't always get highlighted. That's part of what I wanted to have both of them on here for today. Because, sometimes what you think you need to be doing in this business to climb or to excel or to get the limelight, these guys have both done it in such a first-class way. So I have so much respect for them. So I'll pass the mic to Mike and then let him introduce Vince, and then we'll give Vince the floor.
No, Vince Walden, everything you just said, Vince is one of the most selfless human beings I've ever come across. Vince and I weren't very close before we worked together here at Arkansas State, but we've become brothers. And he's one of those guys that's easy to work with. He's so knowledgeable, has great relationship with the players. He's a head coach. He's going to be a head coach one day. I tell him all the time. I just hope and pray he'll hire me maybe. But, quick story about Vince is we were here for maybe, I guess, a year, and my wife had been diagnosed with breast cancer. And Vince got wind of it through somebody else. And this dude just shows up in my house, and he's like, man, we're going to pray. And sits in my house with me and my family. My kids weren't here at the time. And he's one of the most genuine human beings I've ever come across. So, and he's a great coach. So with further ado, let's let Vince do what he does.
So one more thing I'll tell you, or two things I'll say. One about both guys. I think both these guys, in my humble opinion, will be Division I head coaches, not just head coaches, but Division I head coaches. I think they both have what it takes. I think they both have the it factor. I think they're both super knowledgeable, connected, sharp dudes. And then for Vince, just like what Amorrow just gave you, be ready for some details, man, because he's about to give it to you. He's about to drop some gems, so get ready.
Man, I appreciate the glowing introductions by both UB and Coach Scoop, and I'm floored that you'll give me this opportunity to speak to all of you. So I see a lot of familiar faces on the screen, and I'm just thankful, and hopefully something that I share might be of benefit to someone wherever you are in your journey, wherever you are in your walk. And, but just thankful, man. B, I appreciate you, man. Congrats again that I saw the news you guys are going to be retained. And I know you and I have been praying about that. So to see God working that close to you is always encouraging. And especially in these times, there's so much uncertainty. I'm sure that gave you some peace. And, but I see Jabari's on the line. I got to give a shout to the bros, Root. And, but I want to, I hope that something I share will be of benefit. A couple of things I want to touch on today for you guys will be the journey up into this point, as well as talking a little bit about emotional intelligence. You know, I was talking to Brian and I said, man, maybe I should go second after Amorrow. And now I'm like, shucks, man, I got to follow Amorrow. He just knocked it out the park. Amorrow, that was high level, man. A lot of information.
When you said that, I was like, man, you sure you want to do that?
Yeah, right. I should have, you know, it took a little heat off me, man. The brother was sharp as always. But Amorrow, man, much love to you. I love the journey that you're going on. And I think that we're needed, all of us that's on this call are needed for our young people more now than ever. And so I'm excited to hopefully share one or two nuggets with you guys. So let me see if I can do this right. Share screen.
V, you need your video guy?
I think so, right? Hold on one second. Okay, can you guys see that?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay, let me see if how about now?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right, stand by 1 second.
Hey, take your time. I interrupted Amorrow with my phone call and didn't push mute. So you got plenty of time, man. Had to provide some comic relief, man. You know, Amorrow was a little nervous. I had to break that nervous energy up for him, man.
Okay. Phone, iPad.
The great V. Walden.
Who is that? Is that my man Maddox?
Hey, Maddox, how you doing?
Maddox, what's up, man? I apologize. It's taking me a little while. Hold on.
No, you good. You good, brother.
I'm enjoying seeing you in the beard, man. I love the beard.
Trey Gray.
So it's not clean cut.
Hey, I know, right? Crazy. Okay, hold on 1 second.
Dre got a clean line over there, Dre.
Hey, there's no more Corona in North Carolina, evidently. We can do everything we want right now.
Share. Can you guys see it? Not yet? Okay. All right, hold on 1 second. Stand by, stand by.
Coach Gray, you might be right close to Amorrow as far as many Zoom appearances as you've had, Coach Gray. Man, salute to you for being active. I love it.
That's Coach Hood, Adam Hood, UTSA. That's the Zoom master.
Hood, he's always on every Zoom in the room.
Oh, that's not true.
You and Amorrow are actually the ones that are like presenting on everyone.
Yeah, nobody asked me to speak, so I'm good, man. I'm just a spectator. So
Hey, you came on this one and
ask
spoke.
me.
Adam Hood came on this one and spoke.
No, I know that. I'm not saying it was being facetious a little bit, but but still not as many appearances. Gray's over there spitting knowledge. He opened up. I think Absolute Basketball. It was him, man.
Yeah, I know the founder.
Headliner.
Yeah.
Hood, how's Dallas doing, man? The newborn.
He's crying right now, so I'm busy. So you can hear him in the background a little bit, and I'm locked in, man.
You already busy, man.
This is mandatory. That's what y'all like. Why you on all these Zooms? Well, little Joker's crying right now, so when he's resting, and I take him. So
how's he sleep at night?
Honestly, he sleeps more during the day.
Okay.
And he cries during the day, and then cries at night too. So
that's all right.
I sleep. And I said, I know Les know what I'm talking about, man. So I got the two little girls, man.
Yeah, man. They at the point now, man. They just kind of like they tell me what to do, man. They tell me what to do. They get to the point like, we want this. It's not even we want this. It's like, hey, get this or get that. Like, so like as long as I buy Robux, man, I'm good for a few hours.
I haven't gotten to there. Y'all don't even know what that is. I know what it is, but I haven't,
Yeah, it's like this game they have. As long as I buy them Robux, man, they like, we'll leave you alone for a few hours.
That's good. That's good. We're up and running now, though. So I'm going to get off.
You see it? We good?
Yeah, we good. We in there. Success.
Okay. Hey, man, it's Dre Gray. What's up, baby?
You can probably hit full screen on it, too, if you want, V.
Full screen? Okay. That one?
Yeah, that should work. You might have one. Do you have one in the bottom right corner?
You can hit view.
Or listen to Amorrow. He got it all together.
Okay. Go ahead, Morrow.
It would be a slideshow where it should say slideshow, but maybe hit full screen. See what
present right there, I think. Maybe present or full screen.
Yeah.
How about that?
Probably hit present. Probably try that.
Can you see that graphic right there?
We can see it.
Okay.
I think they're trying to get it where your side panel is not there, but you're good, Coach. Just roll with it.
Oh, I got you. Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, I'm gonna just shoot from here if that's okay. I just want to make sure you guys can see it. I want us to have some dialogue and just talk a little bit more than anything and be as informal as I possibly can. Scoop, appreciate your introduction. B, appreciate your introduction. Just again, excited, man, and for the opportunity. And but I'd be remiss not to share my family. You might see my wife. That's Lakeisha. She and I have been married now for be 12 years in September. My oldest, Vincent, is next to her. He's 11. And then my son, Zachary, is on the end, the far end to your left. He's 9. And then Kari Grace is the little girl. She's 5. She'll be 6 next month. And Amorrow, you mentioned earlier just about having a wife that will be supportive. And I think any of us who are in this business, I know it's a few young ladies on the call as well, whoever your partner is, whoever you're doing life with, I think is extremely important that they understand the sacrifices that go into it. And I'm gonna just touch a little bit on the journey thus far and talk a little bit about that. Some of you guys know that journey, and then dive a little bit into some emotional intelligence, which I think I'm not an expert on, but I think is extremely important for us to continue to have ongoing dialogue about. And if you have a question, we don't have to wait to the end. You can dive in right away. I want to share with you guys some of the things that we're doing right now, currently with our guys. And if you have some things that you're doing, please share. It's not about me. It's just I'm excited I get this topic to speak about a little bit. Here's a little bit of my journey. Currently at Texas A&M. My title is Director of Basketball Operations. And you see I put up under there, I'm on the care committee here at Texas A&M. And so just finished our first season. I'll talk a little bit about how the season went and how I got here, but I just want to briefly speak about the care committee that I sit on. I'm from Suffolk, Virginia. I have lived, this is as far west as I've ever lived. And it's been quite the journey, a lot of ups and downs, but they all have been needed. And I know that the good Lord won't waste any of the journey as he continues to give me direction. What I will say is this, I got my degree in social work, and I was in Charlotte, North Carolina doing an internship, and I was working in a drug court. And so one of the things that helped me, I think, in my journey was being in the jail setting, working with our adjudicated youth. And we had kids that I was, small classrooms and working with kids who were in for anything from petty theft to murder or grand larceny. And these were kids who were much like us, trying to figure it out at a young age, needing mentorships. And it's also one of the reasons why I'm in coaching. I'm in debt to the coaches who came before me. And I want to give you a little bit of, shake this up a little bit in terms of, I think, what I do here at Texas A&M currently. But I'm on the care committee. Care committee is for diversity and inclusion here at Texas A&M. And so that particular committee looks like a few head coaches, a very diverse group, I think, as relates to race, religion, sexuality, and anything else in between those things. But our main focus is to serve our student athletes. And when I first got here, much like you, Amorrow, you call people who've been here before. I reached out to Amir, who's over at Kennesaw State, and I said, Amir, hey man, matter of fact, saw him on the road. We were in Atlanta recruiting. He had just gotten a job, and I was 6 days in on the job here at Texas A&M. And I saw him, and he and I are pointing at each other, and I'm like, yo, what's up? And I'm congratulating him at the same time. He's congratulating me. And I said, man, I need 15 minutes of your time. I need you to tell me who I need to connect with on that campus at Texas A&M. And he gave me a list. He was very gracious with his time. Vince, it's a special place. You need to meet this person and that person. And he helped me hit the ground running right away in what was then a foreign land with me coming to Texas. And it has paid benefits for me personally in terms of getting acclimated with the community, which also allows me to best serve our student athletes and best serve our program. Another thing that I think it's afforded me is an opportunity to also look at some of the other inner workings of college athletics. Was on the court, was a head coach at IMG for twice. You'll look down there, 5-star basketball camp. I always give those guys credit. Kind of cut my teeth working camps, getting paid a very minimal amount of money. It actually cost me more to be I guess a clinician, if you will, at those camps than I actually made, but it was an investment in me. IMG Academy, I get a great opportunity there. And Mike Amorrow hires me, who's now the head of Impact Academy out in Las Vegas. And Coach Mike and I worked together at 5-star basketball camp. And short story, it's a God moment. And my wife asked me, well, you got a few opportunities here in Charlotte. 5 stars offer you an opportunity. Or what are you looking for? And I said, I want to work for Mike Amorrow at IMG Academy. And she said, why? And I said, first, because he's a believer. And she said, how you know that? And I said, I see how he lives it every day over the last 3 years. Fast forward, 10 minutes later, I get a phone call from a 941 number, which is Florida. And in my short lapse, I think it says 914, which is New York. And so I think it's 5 Star calling me to ask to work another session. I would always use my vacation time to go and work 5 Star camp with the hope of someday being in the position I am now. And so I get a call from Mike Amorrow. I think that he's inviting me maybe to come down and work camp. And my wife said, no, call him back now because you probably won't have any presence at dinner. So I want you to give him a call and see what he has to say. Had just got named director. I was his first call, wanted to hire me. And I go down there, and that was my first since 2006 to 2012. And my first college opportunity was Liberty University. Went to the NCAA tournament in 2013, didn't win enough games the next 2 years and got let go. So I landed on my feet, Erie Bayhawks, which was the affiliate at that time of the Orlando Magic, and another mentor. The head coach at that time for Erie Bayhawks is now the assistant to the head coach at Baylor, named Coach Bill Peterson. Coach Pete's daughter was at Liberty. And Coach Pete and Dale Lair, who's the assistant to the head coach here at Texas A&M, were roommates in college. And Coach Pete's daughter used to babysit our kids when we were in Virginia. And so I land on my feet, Erie Bayhawks. Probably a month later, IMG calls me, asked me if I would come back. We had a really good run, 15 through 17. Number 1 in the country. Trayvon Duvall was probably the highlight of that particular team. Was McDonald's All-American. Mike Bellato gives me an opportunity to get back into college at Arkansas State. Me and Coach Scoot were together there, 2017 to 2019. One of my close friends, and I'll tell you a little bit of the story later, gets the head job at Elon, Mike Schrage. I'm at Elon for 48 days. I tell everybody I'm gonna write a book called 48 Days at Elon. It kind of sounds like a war book or something. And Dre, you know that very well. You and I talked a lot during my time there, as well as when I left to go to Texas A&M. Texas A&M, I'm at Elon for those 48 days. I'm rolling with Schrage. He's my guy. When he was an assistant coach at Stanford, it was his first assistant coaching job. He signed a kid I had named Dwight Powell, who now plays for the Dallas Mavericks. And he told me during that time, I was a 6 a.m. guy. And so he would catch a red eye and fly in, watch us practice. And then we know the rules, and then guys would come back later in the afternoon or the evening. I wanted to give my guys as many opportunities as possible to be seen, but I always had a 6 a.m. I wanted to make sure that I got a chance to speak into their lives much before, at that time, Lil Wayne, Yeezy, all of those guys back in the day. But I wanted to make sure that they were accounted for. I was able to touch them. I was able to also make sure that I had no issues with them showing up at school. So we worked out, they got a chance to eat, and they got to school. And one of the things I would do in that gap was after they got to school, I would then go have breakfast with my wife and kids, and then get back to the office probably around 9:30. That was a practice for me that I still try to do as much as I can now, and including them. Just a little bit, and I'm gonna keep moving forward. My wife, her name is Lakeisha, a school psychologist for about 12 years. She and I are in the same community as we grew up. Her mother's home to my mother's home was about a 6-minute drive. Went to 2 rival schools. My cousin introduced us. She went to James Madison undergrad, and then she got her master's degree and education specialist degree from William and Mary. And so she's an East Coast Virginia girl. That's my girl. You guys will appreciate this. Our R&B song, our R&B album is Jill Scott, her first one, Who is Jill Scott? And our hip hop album is The Listening by Ninth Wonder and Little Brother. And, but that's my girl, and I'm a social worker at heart. I feel I'm a teacher first, much like you guys. And she's a school psychologist. So you can imagine our conversations and so forth and our commitment to the development of young people. My wife is now currently homeschooling our 3 kids, Vincent, Zachary, and Kari. And she's also working remotely with Crisis Text Line out of New York. And I think that gives her a chance to kind of satisfy some of her desire to serve and those things. But Crisis Text Line, I'll give you that resource, or somebody remind me, please, to give you that resource at the end of this, just to talk a little bit about a resource I think that might be good for your student athletes or family members also. Next slide, and I want you to dive in, man, is if you have any questions. It's a little bit of my journey. I'll give you this. With all that's going on right now, when Buzz hired me, I interviewed at Virginia Tech a few years back, didn't get the job, thought I had it, thought I heard yes from God, and I don't get the job. The next year, I'm a finalist for Naismith High School Coach of the Year. We had a tremendous run. Bellato gets his first opportunity at Arkansas State, gives me a call. Thankful for that opportunity, thankful for all of these opportunities. And I was, given an opportunity to get back in at the college level. For me, I wanted to get back in at college because unless my name was Penny Hardaway, I didn't think I could go from being a prep head coach to being a Division I head coach. And great setup at IMG, love IMG, miss IMG, would take my kids there in a minute and drop them off. But I thought this would be another opportunity that would stretch me professionally, help me grow, get better, and trusted the good Lord to bless me with that opportunity at some point in my career. I want to share this one nugget before I dive into the main part of what I want us to talk about. And this is something that I've practiced for a long time. This is an equation I just want to share with you. I got this from my pastor in Florida. Focus intensity over time multiplied by God equals unstoppable momentum. I think when we look at our career journey, Amorrow, I know you were just on. Scoot, you and I have had this talk a lot. Maddox, we talk all the time. A lot of us who are at different levels are saying, how can I get the momentum? How can I grow my brand? How can I do certain things? But this is something that I practiced for a long time over my career. Can I focus my intensity? What do I need to work on right now? As you look at my trajectory to this point, I was always on the court. I was always working with guys doing different things. I'm now off the court. And so for me, this is new territory. For me, I had to find new ways this past season to connect and impact our guys. I cut my teeth in player development. Actually, I'm pretty, I don't like to tote my own horn, but I think I'm pretty good at getting guys better. And I think it starts with relationship. And for me, it was, now I'm in more of an administrative role. What can I learn from this standpoint? And I'll share with you guys in my conversation with Buzz how that went about. He says to me, hey man, I need you for this. I want you to connect with every African-American leader on campus. I want you to be an extension from my office. Vince, I gotta be you, man, fly around, so forth and so on. And he was recruiting me pretty hard. And I went back and forth. Dre Gray, you and I were in Carolina at the time, and you knew everything that was going on during this time. And I wanted to know if it was the right move for me. So I was in Florida for 2 years. I leave I leave Liberty. They make a coaching change. I go back to IMG. So I went from Virginia. I'm from Virginia. We're 3 hours away from our home. I go to Florida. So I take my wife and our family further away. I'm there for 2 years. Then I go to Arkansas, as far west at that point I've ever gone in terms of living and working. We're there for 2 years. And then I get the opportunity to go with Mike Schrage. Schrage says, Vince, if I ever get a head coaching job and you're not a head coach, I'm coming for you wherever you are. He gets the head coaching job. and pays me good money. And not that we're looking for that necessarily, but I was thankful that he saw my value. And I think a lot of times we want to know on that journey that we're doing the right things. Can this help me take care of my family better? Will this lighten the load for my wife and my family? And I'm still in debt to all of those guys who've given me opportunities. And so here I am, Mike Shrage gets this job. I go, I'm one of his guys. And then here comes Buzz Williams calling. And I'm like, man, come on, what in the world? And I'm thankful, but some would think, hey, Vince, you got to jump at that one. And what I did not do is I didn't want to make the wrong decision. And some would say, well, man, he's coming off the road. And so Buzz is, he's a recruiter. He's a teacher first, but he cut his teeth in recruiting a little bit as well. So he's going pretty hard at me. Hey, coach, we're going to talk. Let's talk in a couple of days. Man, it felt like 10 hours go by. He's calling me again. I was thankful for that. But then I asked him, I said, Coach, I'm thrilled that you would want me to join your team, but I need to ask you for some wisdom. Don't recruit me right now. Is this the right move for me? And this is what he said to me. And I think it'll make a little bit of sense as it relates to some of the racial uproar that has taken place in our country over the last, for a long time, but certainly much more visible and at a very, very intense moment now in our country. He says, Coach, how old are you? And I said, I'm 43. Man, you 43? I said, Coach, I know I look good, man. I'm trying to take care of myself. So we having a little laugh. And so he says to me, he said, Coach, you're 43. So he paused. He said, when I said I need your wisdom, he said, Coach, don't recruit me right now. I need your wisdom on this. So he called me. He said, hey, man, where's your family? I said, they're in Virginia. Where are you? North Carolina. Where's your stuff? Arkansas. Got a house yet? Got a mortgage yet? No, sir. Looking, though. And so remember now, I've gone down this road with them already at Virginia Tech. So I'm kind of like, hey, man, I ain't getting too high and too low about this. And then all of that stuff I had to pull back when we talk about emotional intelligence. I had to pull it back. I didn't want to get excited because it's Buzz Williams, and I thought he was hot as fish grease in our country as it relates to his brand and how he was winning and how he studies. And I mean, he's a machine. And so I wanted to learn from him. And I never forget, I've listened to this message from Bishop Jakes. That's my guy, man. He's been my pastor. I never met him, don't know him. He's been my pastor on the low forever. And so I'm listening to this message, and he talked about his daughter had called him one day and said, Dad, you've never been afraid to reinvent yourself. And I've always tried to pride myself, and I appreciate, B, you saying this earlier about trying to do it the right way, not trying to toot my horn. A lot of that goes on in the business. But I've always tried to be a little different in the business. Not to say I'm better than anyone, but study the right things. And I wanted to look at my own career at 43. And Buzz says this, I wanted to look at it through the telescope and not the microscope. Now. Will this help me as a husband? Will this help me as a coach of color who wants to be a head coach one day? Buzz says, hey man, the hiring practices of African-Americans as head coaches in our country and in our business is atrocious. Whoa. Vince, we've had this talk before. We talked about race before. Yes, sir. A lot of guys don't know this. Buzz has hired more minorities on his staff than any other head coach in the country. And he's doing something about it because I think he understands from his own humble beginnings what the fight is really about. And so he's a guy that's been doing it without necessarily promoting that, because he can put some stuff out there and looks like he's promoting himself, but certainly with that particular stat, many don't know that. And so we've had that conversation before. I've studied it before. And so I asked him, is this the right move for me? Man. Yeah, I'm not getting intoxicated because it's an opportunity. And I think that we have to be very strategic about our careers and does this work and will this benefit me as I do have a desire to continue to educate and serve others. But I just wanted to, I hope I'm getting it right. And so prayed about it. A lot of guys said, yo, Vince, it's a no-brainer. A lot of that I believed, but then here I am. And so year in, we see everything that has happened. I'm gonna jump to the next slide. And please jump in if you need to. And I'm gonna try to move as fast as I can, but want to give you guys a little bit of backdrop in my own journey as I'm speaking about the topic of emotional intelligence. One of the things I think with our players, one of the things I think with ourselves is we can be very competitive. I was talking to one of our players. He's his complexion, he's probably as bright as I am, right? And so he's like, Coach, man, they think us light-skinned guys are soft. And I was like, yeah, don't let it fool you. And so he and I have that conversation. And when we talk about race, there's so many layers to it. But we've been talking to our guys about it since day one. And it's a conversation that I think there's a lot of reaction to what's going on now. And for me, I always wanted to, I was in prevention and substance abuse. I was a substance abuse prevention specialist was my title. And I think reactionary leadership, I think is easy. And I think that when we talk about emotional intelligence, I think we need to lean into our guys more. Hey man, what's really going on? How are these guys dealing with the current events? COVID-19, guys are coming back to campus. What's going on? Social injustice, we see us a lot of different things going on. And we just can't assume because these guys can run and jump and they're big, or our young ladies that we might be coaching are strong. And all of us on this call have our own level of toughness too, but I can't assume that everybody's doing okay with it. So we lean in with our guys all the time, and I'm gonna just share some best practices. I keep moving. But again, hopefully something jumped out and throw a question in.
If you don't mind me interrupting too, when you say lean in, is there some kind of a thought process behind what exactly that means, or does that just mean get even closer?
Get even closer. Thank you, B. This is what I would give you guys. Two things. One, this is a practice that I do with our guys. We know we talk about relationship, and you'll see a slide just talking about the importance of it. I think we all know it. There are some coaches on our call who are African-American or who might be deemed Black. There are some coaches on this call who are white or Anglo or Caucasian. And I think all of us, it's a tremendous opportunity for all of us as it relates to the emotional intelligence, regardless of the category that we fit in with that, to lean in. What I mean by that is this. This is a question I used to always, and I still do it. I still ask our guys this. Man, what's the 10%? Coach, what do you mean? Yo, what's up, man? How you doing? Yo, what's going on? What's up, guys? How's it going? Hey, man, doing good. Doing good is a pretty common on the surface response. Hey, what's the 10% though, B? Coach Burton, I'm gonna use you for a second. Hey, man, I can only imagine that you had a different level of stress as you were trying to figure out what was going to go on with at the school that you're at now. Are they going to retain my guy? I got to keep loving on these guys. You're trying to serve them while you're also trying to figure out as a husband, as a father, as a leader, hey, well, I got to lead my family too. I've been in that situation before. I know you're a believer, so I know you're seeking out God's wisdom in this. But for me, what's the 10%? Yo, what's up, coach? What's going on? Hey, man, no, what's really going on? What's the 10% that you probably wouldn't tell me? Yo, coach, I'm struggling, bro. You struggling how? Hey, man, coach, my mom, and then next thing you know, that opens something up. She's living a different lifestyle. Hey, coach, my dad just got out of jail. Really? Man. I'll give you a short story. I'm at IMG, and Emmett Williams signed with a agent, played at LSU this past year. I coached him for 2 years. I love that kid. That's my guy. He'll FaceTime me now and just want to talk to my kids. He called them, you know, his little bros. Emmett, father gets out of prison. He's locked up for 10 years from the time the kid was 6 until he was 16. I'm playing. My team at that point was number 2 in the country behind Montverde. We're in the City of Palms event, loaded with talent. Those guys let me coach them hard, loved on them. He calls me at the hotel. We play in about 2.5 hours. Yo, coach, you got a minute? Yeah, what's up, fam? Now, granted, City of Palms is in his hometown. And coach, my dad said he can cut my hair right now. Whoa, we play in 2 hours. Coach, he can, but coach, he's nobody's in the chair. Well, how you gonna get there? I could get my cousin to come and pick me up. Bro, we trying to go to the Dick's National Tournament now, the Geico. We right there. We're loaded. Best talent we ever had. And it was a moment for me. That's crazy. I didn't think about sharing this story, but it was a moment for me to say, hey, man, this kid's dad just got out of jail. He was incarcerated for 6 years in the street selling drugs. I done talked to his dad on the phone. Coach, I don't want anything. Everybody's talking about how good my son is. I don't want nothing, coach. I'm a barber now. Can you help me with my relationship with my son? He's asking me to help him build a relationship back with Emmett. Emmett comes to me in the lobby. We get ready to play. Coach, I just want to go to the shop and get a haircut. Bro, we tip in 2 hours. Coach, I can be right back. You know what, E? You need to do that, man. That'll be good for your dad, you and your dad. Coach, man, thanks, bro. Takes off. I think that's another way to kind of lean in. Thank you for that, for that question, B. But I think we have to be extremely sensitive. I think we do a lot of that in our recruiting with our guys and our girls as we try to build relationships with them. We're competing against each other. Can we get this recruit? He'll help us win games. She'll help us win games. I think when we lean into our players, especially right now, we don't know how they're processing this. And not just our players who might be African-American, Black, or of color, but all of our players. We can't just assume that the player on our team who is white, Anglo, or Caucasian is processing this okay. And I'll give you this one, emotional intelligence. So lean in, what's the 10%? Ask them, hey man, what's really going on? How you really doing? Coach, man, this is messed up, bro. I feel this way and that way. Here's another one. Tonight at 6:45 p.m. Central Time, my family and I are going over to campus. The student athletes are leading a march on campus. So we're gonna start at Cal Field and we're gonna walk our campus and I'm going to support them. And I'm gonna put my mask on, I'm gonna respect everything as it relates to that. And I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna support them. I need them to know that I'm standing with them. When the riots first took place, I sent a text message to Savion Flagg, rising senior, Alvin, Texas, had the highest usage rate on our team. Kid can play a little bit. I needed to get to him because he's our leader. I needed to get to him because I had built up enough equity this year to give him a message because I didn't want our guys to do something and then we have to turn around and try to put a fire out if somebody said something because they were emotional. And I text him and I say, hey man, I'm thinking about you. I've been processing a lot of emotion over the last 48 hours. Here are 2 things I want you to consider as you're processing your thoughts. And after you watch the video, I want you to give me a call. And so Savion, I text him scripture. And I said, number one, the first thing I want to send you the word of God. And I sent that to him. And I said, number 2, here's a video from Killer Mike. And so he watched all of it. I sent him Romans 12:17 through 19. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. I will repay, says the Lord, so forth and so on. So I sent him the word. This is what he sent me back. Appreciate it, big dog. Let me watch this video real quick. I love you too, fam. I'm gonna call you in a minute. And so I think those are ways when we talk about how our guys tick. I know he's a believer. I know I could express or share the word with him.
Vince, real quick.
I didn't want to use the word. This is a lot of the conversations going on for us as believers in the country.
Vince, real quick, what was that scripture real quick?
Oh, yes, sir. It was Romans, stand back, I'm sorry. That's Romans 12, 17 through 19. And then I sent him the video, Killer Mike speaking there in Atlanta, very emotional. And so he calls me, Coach, that's heavy, man. I said, look, here's the thing. I want to share the word of God because I'm seeking him in wisdom so I can be a better asset to our program, to Coach Buzz as our head coach, to all of you guys. And I'm a relational guy anyway, but I love doing life with these guys. And I would say this to all of us on this call. We were built for this, all of us. Whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're African American, however you identify, we're built for this moment. And they're watching us. And I think we have a tremendous opportunity in front of us. And I text this message to Coach Jamie McNeely. He's our associate head coach, man. That brother there is an unbelievable teacher. He too will be a head coach one day, man. Young group of coaches, man, that Buzz has that have been with him for a long time. All of them as sharp as they can be. Buzz lets those guys coach. I text this to Jamie and I said, Jamie, this is what I sent Savion. And I sent him what I thought our next step should be for our individual tribe. I'm always using the word tribe internally. He texts me right back, yo, man, send this to Buzz. If you're not comfortable sending it to Buzz, I'm going to send it to him. And so I laughed. I said, yo, Coach, I wanted to send it to you because I'm asking Coach to introduce the meeting, to pray, and then let you facilitate the rest of it. Are you okay with it? Yeah, no question, V. Send that to Buzz now. So I shoot Buzz, emotional intelligence with, if you're an assistant coach, if you're a support staff, dealing with your head coach, and all of you know this, and I'm sure somebody on this call has spoke to it before. Amorrow touched a little bit on it when he was talking about be sharp in your presentation, or that coach might take something from you. Well, I got to pick the right spot to talk to the head ball coach too. And I hit him with this, Coach, I know you're in prayer about what to do next. I am as well. Please take this with my heart's intention. It might be something I say that could be of value. If not, throw it away. I stand with you. I just know that we are all built for this moment. I hit him with the water hose of my own opinions and thoughts. And he doesn't, Buzz takes his time, man. Takes his time hiring you. He takes his time making a decision. Now, when he makes a decision, when he has an opinion about something, when he's able to formulate after he gets the data, then he can go with it. And for him to be as successful as he is, I see why. He's very coachable, man. He will let you, he wants you to be a head coach in whatever area you have. So I hit him with this a long text. And he texts back about 30 minutes later, Coach, all of this, exclamation point. Coach, what in the world? I don't know what to do. This is exactly what I needed. Coach, we're doing it the exact same way. So I said, Coach, we use Zoom calls for recruiting. We use Zoom calls to sing happy birthday to guys. We use Zoom calls to update everyone on COVID-19 and what our tribe is going to do next. It's a state of emergency. We got to use a Zoom for this. Now, unbeknownst to me, someone that also has his ear, and it came back later, said, I don't know if we should do a Zoom because maybe it becomes so intense that it fractures our team, it fractures the tribe, it fractures the locker room. I didn't know that until I got a call from one of my mentors and said that, hey man, you gave him the right wisdom on that. And Buzz got on the call, open with prayer. I don't want to be the head coach on this. I'm getting out of the way. Jamie, you and Vince got it. Man, that dude took 3 pages of notes. Guys, I don't know when the next conversation is going to be. It was so freaking powerful, guys. And it was a little risk in it. But when you know your guys, when you're doing life with them and you're doing it with them at that 10% level, then I think you kind of know. And Savion Flagg, and you guys know Buzz, and you guys have your own opinions of him. Some know him more than others. B, I know you've had a lot of opportunities to do life with Buzz. He said, this is what he said to the guys. I just took 3 pages of notes. I just know that I'm a part of the problem, and I just want to do something about it. Well, Buzz, don't forget now, you've been doing something about it. I know we haven't been tweeting that out, but you are doing something. Next day he calls me, Vince, I need to put a statement out. I want you to listen to this. Tell me what you think. So you see the statement he put out. I didn't need him to call me on that. I'm not saying that, hey man, I'm a social work major. I'm the emotional intelligent guru. No. I just think that all of our life experiences will not be wasted. And I think that if we aren't comfortable necessarily in it, then we have to educate ourselves and make sure that they know we're standing with them, that our guys know that hey man, I'm with you. Hey man, I understand. Here's another one real quick. If you guys, we talk about ACL, and we know what that means. Usually it's about an injury. ACL is something that I've been sharing with my tribe a little bit. A means the acknowledgement. I think especially for those of us who are not African-American, Black, or of color, a lot of times, and here's the truth. I think we have a tremendous opportunity for us. I think opportunities have been there before. And it's something different about this one. I took my son Sunday to a protest in Bryan, Texas, which is right next to College Station. And one of my guys was there. I wanted to know how is it? Is it safe? What do you think? I wanted to introduce my sons to it. Now, granted, I've shown them, I've been trying to be, again, emotional, intelligent about what I share with them and what I don't share with them. So I'm leaning into them, where their heart's at. Zachary, my middle child, and my youngest son is emotional. That dude will cry in a minute, like in a good way. Like when I do individual time with him, we go to the Salvation Army and we serve the Salvation Army. He has something that he's created called Zach Packs. So every time I would travel on the road, he'll say, hey, Dad, can you get the toiletries in the hotel room and bring them back? He'll put them in a Ziploc bag. He'll write a scripture on it. And he'll wear me out because he'll say, hey, Dad, you got $5. Can you put it? Man, I just gave that dude $20. But he has a heart to serve others. That's leaning in at home when we talk about our emotional intelligence. Can we be students of our players, and can we be students of our children? Can we be students of our wives? And somebody come back and ask me a question if I'm jumping around too much, but I'm trying to give you a little bit of my personal experience along with what we're doing now, et cetera. We had Ninth Wonder. I mentioned him earlier. We had Ninth Wonder talk to our guys last week, and he killed it. And so I think I did right by my wisdom to Coach Buzz, our head coach, just as a professional, as a coach in the deal. What you're giving your head coach, we all want it to be right. Amorrow was talking about the scouting. Amorrow, I took about 2 pages, I guess it is, of notes on the scouts. I'm always trying to learn. And I was glad that I gave Buzz the right thing. And like you said, now he's calling, hey man, what do you think we should do next? Hey man, what do you think? And I appreciate him doing that, but I think I'm not the only one he's doing with it. He wants to get it right as the head ball coach. How can we serve our guys? And, but I think the emotional intelligence with our wives, with our partners, leaning into them and how are they doing? Let me jump to this next one. I think this one speaks for itself. I apologize if I'm going too long. B, cut me off. Tell me, give me how much time I got left. Any questions that might come up, et cetera.
Anybody that has to run, I understand. Shoot me a text, put it in the group, but we're going to keep it rolling, Coach. We're going to keep it rolling.
Okay. I appreciate it. And look, no love lost. I know I can talk a little bit. And again, I hope I give you guys some nuggets as it relates to emotional intelligence. If you do have to go, I respect. I appreciate the time and want to respect your time. Emotional intelligence, you see the EI and EL and EQ and all of those things up there. But I want you to look at the picture I'm at the far right without the beard, with the low cut instead of the fro growing out. Jamie is standing next to Kaepernick. And I want you guys to understand this is some of us on this call may not agree with what he kneels for. And that's okay. It's not to disrespect anyone. I use this to speak to emotional leadership. This was 11 o'clock game, February the 29th. We're playing at LSU. Abdul Rauf is having his jersey retired. Early game, they have a ceremony that pushes the tip time back a little bit. Emotional day for everyone that was there. Long overdue in terms of the retirement of his jersey. I couldn't believe that was going to be his retire. I assumed that they had already retired his jersey. We just lost when this picture was taken. We lost 50-64 versus LSU on the road. They crushed us on the board. They were really good that day. We lost to them earlier in the season at our place. We lost to them in overtime. This was an important game. Amorrow, you spoke earlier, and all of us know about standings in the conference. You were talking about you were, maybe 1 or 2 games above 500, so it wasn't awful for us. We lose this game. We were sitting at 8-8 in conference. And we're thinking more, man, can we just position ourselves? Can some of the Kentuckys and the Auburns and all them dudes beat up on each other? And maybe we can put ourselves in a position to maybe strike late, win 1 or 2 games and, in Nashville in the SEC tournament and maybe get a nod for the NIT. We were being very realistic about what our chances were, not thinking NCAA. But you never know. And so we lose this game. We're on the bus. Buzz's son, his oldest son, is Bubba. He has on the black T-shirt. That's one of our quote shirts. I'm going to speak to that next. Bubba gets on the bus and he says to me and a couple of the other guys, "Hey, man, Cap just walked out the arena." "What do you mean, Cap?" "Kaepernick." "What?" So Jamie and I are sitting next to each other. We're looking at each other like, yo, we just lost. And we know how getting on a bus after a loss can be. Jamie says, "Yo, Vince, you'll go with me?" I said, "No question. We got to go." I said, "This is a moment. We got to go." And we asked Coach Buzz. And Jamie said, "Come on, man, stand up with me." So we stand up. "Coach, Kaepernick just walked out. Will you be okay if a couple of us go and get a picture with him and introduce ourselves?" Without hesitation, Coach looks to see out the window to see if he could see him, turns back and said, "Yeah, you guys go." The emotional leadership with that, because here's the thing. I don't know if Coach believed in what he was doing or not. Any of our coaches could believe in what he's doing or not, but the emotional leadership to say, the people that I'm doing life with believe in what this guy is doing. They've asked me if they could go off and go and meet him. The whole bus didn't come. We went off, man. Knocked on the man's, he had one of those Sprinter vans made by Mercedes, knocked on it, spoke to the driver. "Hey, we're coaches from the other squad. We just lost. Hey, man, we just love to get a picture with you if it's okay. Believe in what you kneel for. And thank you, because you're taking the biggest hit out of everybody as it relates to your career." Takes a picture with us. "Hey, man, I didn't want anyone to know that I was here. I just wanted to come and support my guy getting his jersey retired." He was the first one that took a hit. It's like, whoa, that's big. And so when we talk about emotional intelligence and we talk about that's taking care of ourselves, can we lean into what someone else might be dealing with? And can we also ask the questions that might be necessary to figure out what they're going through? Yes, we need them to rebound. We need them to run and jump and shoot, all of those kind of things. But I think when we tap into our players, whether that's while we're rebounding for them, taking them through drills, they're exhausted. We have to do it a little bit more. Their mental health is unbelievably important. We know that our mental health is tremendously important. It's necessary as we take care of ourselves so we can serve better. All right, this next one real quick. Just one thing. This is what we do in house. I think it reiterates our message. These are our quote shirts. If you look at the one where it says the race to maturity, do you guys see the one with it has like the race car flags on it? We were picked to finish 12th. If you look at the word maturity, the R is actually the number 12. And so we had a little bit of a message in there with our guys. I think it's different ways that you can speak to them. Amorrow, I love that one when you said that the guy got up and on the board, he had to sign the contract. Hey, man, you bringing it today or not? Hey, man, sign your name to it then. For us, we were picked 12th. We ended up finishing tied for 6th. Buzz was voted Associated Press SEC Coach of the Year. It's the first time any team at Texas A&M has ever won 10 conference games. So it was big for our guys. If you look at the one, here's one thing I want you guys to see. Top left, that's Cassius McNeely, redshirted this year, Jamie's nephew. The shirt he has on is talking about what's your water level? Are you carrying your water? Some of you know the book, Chop Wood, Carry Water. A little bit of coming off of that, but are we individually carrying our water? And then there's moments when we have to carry someone else's water on our team or in our program. The guy standing next to him is Devin Johnson, high-level guy, great at player development, was a manager with Buzz when Buzz did 1 year as a head coach at New Orleans. Jamie was a player for him, a senior, the 1 year. And Jamie has been with Coach Buzz for 13 years. Every year he's been a head coach, Jamie was with him. You can wear a quote shirt at any point, at any time, other than obviously when we're playing a game. So if we're in practice, we're in shoot around, you don't have to necessarily, okay, is it maroon or white? Whenever you want to wear a quote shirt, Buzz gives them the authority, the sole aristocracy of their decision in terms of whether they want to wear that shirt or not. Our guys wear them all the time. Everything is an interview. You see the one at the bottom. For us, it's just a reminder when we go out. I'm doing this Zoom call. It's an interview. Morrow, you got a head job today with the interview you just had. All of us get these platforms and these opportunities. Everything we do on a daily basis is an interview for something. Whether that's our mate, whether that's a job we're trying to get or pursue, everything's an interview.
Hey, Vince, real quick, how do you guys distribute this, or is it something that each individual player comes up and they buy a shirt? Like how does it work in the terms of process, and you give
yes, sir.
shirts?
Kareem
Brown, Niagara County Community College.
Yes, sir, bro. I've seen you on a few calls. We've been running into each other. And great question. The way they come about, sometimes a kid could say something that stands out. Like our players joke on me and Scoot, I don't know if Scoot's still up here, but Scoot knows that when I was at Arkansas State, I used to always say, hear that, man, hear that, because we can give them so much information. And I'll say, yo, man, hey, hear that. And so I'll make an emphasis with my octave. Hey, bro, if you don't take nothing away, make sure you hear that. And so they'll joke with me, so I know that means they get it. So every time I see some guys, yo, coach, hear that, or it's the weekend. Dumb stuff happens on the weekend. I got this text I send our guys every weekend, every Thursday, about the weekend and making good decisions. But the shirt will come up, and it's always a lesson with the shirt. The one about coming home, that was very passionate for Buzz. Some of you guys might know his journey starting with humble beginnings. And this is an opportunity for him coming back home to Texas. But it hasn't always been easy. And like he would say, if anyone knows his journey, then someone would say, well, man, do you really want to go back home? But there's always a lesson in it that way that we'll give them, Kareem. We showed them videos of, so say everything's an interview. That was an interview of pre-draft NBA camp interviews that NBA execs were doing, mock interviews, et cetera, with our guys. Hey, man, look at his body language. Hey, man, look at what he just tweeted. I want you to understand everything's an interview. One of the players that we inherited when we got here, I love him, man, got in some trouble. Coach tried to correct, protect him a little bit. Hey, man, we got a plan for him. We're going to love on him. Got him some mess the second time. He ended up transferring out. And I was talking to coaches. Hey, yo, Vince, what do you think? Hey, man, he's in a perfect situation that now he might absorb the message that we all have been trying to give him. And for him, he had some tweets that were out there publicly that kept coming up and was hurting him. And so everything's an interview. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. But Kareem, we got a message. We'll use video. We'll use a lot of different things, man. The confidence can only come from your work. Like, it ain't the rah-rah stuff. It's man, we're doing boot camp. We're running through the wall. And these guys continued to buy in. And some of you might remember over Thanksgiving, we played 3 games in Orlando. And it came out that we were basically the worst Power 5 team in the country after losing to Harvard, which is a good program, Harvard, Temple, and Fairfield. And then we were picked going into the SEC to lose every game by Ken Palm. And we ended up winning. We went 10-8 in conference. And we believe we were hot, man, going into the SEC tournament before COVID shut everything down. But hopefully that answers, man. But it's always hey, man. And so for Buzz's deal, had this shirt made up. They get 1 shirt per month, and there's never the same shirt, never the same message. So a part of our lessons, we want to teach it. We think they'll be able to embrace it more. Buzz told the guys when we pass out the Race to Maturity shirts, hey, man, they picked us 12th. That's second from worst. Hey, man, it's going to be a great story when we flip this thing. And sure enough, we go into Auburn. They're number 17th in the country. They're 16-0 at home. It's crazy. They've done a great job growing their environment. And we beat them, man. And we beat them from the jump. And our guys were locked in and just ready to go. So next one. Couple of pro guys. I remember Broussard was on last week, and he was talking about, I know he was at UCLA before. All of us have had a chance to work with a lot of pros. And so I want to say this first. I can't claim any of them but one, and it's Dwight Powell. This was more about player development, and as it relates to emotional intelligence is I got to be able to meet Mo where he's at. Mo Harkless is now playing with the New York Knicks. Was drafted 15th out of St. John's. I think it was 2012, right before I left for Liberty. And he was a one-and-done kid. His mentor has become my guy over the years. And he let me coach him, but I knew his story. And so when I was on the court with him, I was able to give him some things in our pre-draft development that I think let him know that I knew some of his story. Not like I know it all, and I picked my spots. And so Mo had give you this one short piece that he listened to me on and applied it right away. Every time he would drive to his right, he's a right-handed player. For me, I was always a shooter, and I wanted to dribble with my left. It allowed me to get under the ball quicker. And so I wanted the ball. That was the scout on me, Amorrow, is I wanted to handle it, and I could get under my shot a lot quicker with the ball on my left. Mo, anytime he was driving right, he had a hard dip with his left foot, which will be his pivot and the one that he prefers. But his right hip, and he's 6'8", 6'9", one of those hybrid wings. But he didn't get, in my opinion, not to be too biological with this, but he didn't get enough deep hip bend on his right hip. And so for me at IMG, and we would always study the body, and I would always look for guys from their feet up. And so I thought his shots came up short as he drove right because he didn't get enough knee bend, if you will, or hip bend with his right hip. And so I wanted to grow his hip awareness. I would show a video. He would get it, applied it right away. And every time I talk to him, he brings it up. Every time. And it was just something you see, and you're like, hey, man, I think you can do this better, and we worked on it. But I think it was doing life with him, rebounding, talking to him a little bit about life that helped. Jonathan Isaac, same thing. He played in our postgraduate program. I didn't coach him, but I trained him. And so we had a really good relationship. He's a big time believer. He just started an AAU program there in Florida. And I've been talking with him. He's a big time human being, but again, was extremely coachable, using his platform for the right reasons. Been in the pulpit a few times, but I just share this only. Scal Labisi had an unbelievable play at Kentucky, was a one and done. Obviously Jonathan was a lottery pick at 6 out of Florida State. Scal dropped in the draft at 28. Tremendous story from Haiti. Earthquake happens. He's buried under the rubble for like 2 days and survives that. A believer loves the Lord. We would connect through our faith. I just think there are moments and different avenues in which you can connect with your guys, whether it's through faith, whether it's a kid likes a certain vehicle. Obviously, our music has been a great bridge for us. Just keep leaning in, finding out what's going on, what they like, and then see how you might be able to connect with your guys even further that way. Dwight Powell, Dwight played for me for 3 years at IMG, came in at 6'7", grew to 6'10". Told you a little bit about the story with Mike Strage. That was his first sign at Stanford. Dwight from Canada, single parent home. Mom has passed on now. She was in the banking business as a 6-foot Jamaican woman, dark complexion. His father is white or Anglo. So a biracial kid. Told me, Coach V, I would always play my hip hop with the guys, right? Coach V, there's a guy in Canada, man, he got a chance to be one of the best. Nah, come on, man. This is, East Coast hip hop is the best. And he's like, Coach, I'm telling you, man, what's his name? Drake. Coach, I'm telling you, man, he got a chance. He's from T-Dot. He's from Toronto, got a chance to be the best. And, but those were the relational things that just trying to connect with our guys, whether they play some of their music. I used to have this thing when I was in the jail setting with our adjudicated youth. I had what was called music appreciation. And I'll play something and sometime I give them a chance to turn to a certain station, play 5 minutes. They'll break down bars for me. We'll go back and forth. We just gotta lean in, man. We gotta lean in. We gotta exhaust ways, especially now, to make sure we're taking care of our guys. Dwight Powell plays for the Dallas Mavericks. Called me. He's a senior at Stanford. Coach V, I need you to get to California. I need you to sit in on my agent meetings. I was thankful that he wanted to include me in that process. Our relationship is tight, still strong. Got tickets for my family this year when they played against Houston, in Houston. He wants to talk to my sons now more than he wants to talk to me. He thinks he's a big bro. But I share those things just talking again about our players. So whether it's you in a capacity as a trainer, got to find ways to lean in, connect with your guys. And that's what I did with the majority of those guys on the left. With the white, we were doing life at a 10% level all the time. And I could get on them. I mean, it was a couple of times I went at him and wondered if I was being too hard. And I told him, hey man, you want to be a pro? You can't build your mom a house like that, bro. And so now he just got recognized early this year for the work he's doing for breast cancer awareness in Dallas. And that's what his mom passed away from. Again, just tapping into what's emotional to him. And even now, we would talk about his foundation. What can he do after the deal? And I think that's something that's important for us that at the 4-year college level, is when we're talking about name, image, and likeness that's about to come up as we dive into. Some guys want to build a foundation later. It's a perfect opportunity for us to lean into what's really dear and near to those guys. Yes, no significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. B, we still okay, man?
No, you're good. I was going to ask you a quick question. So not to take away from where you're going, but you said ACL, acknowledgement. What was the C and the L?
I'm so sorry. Okay, so ACL, acknowledgement. We got to acknowledge right away that there's a problem. A lot of us who are Black, brown, African-American, et cetera, see that, know that, have lived that. A lot of our white, Anglo-Caucasian counterparts see it as well. Whatever information we can get to our families, our friends, to help educate. The C is a commitment. You got to commit to being a change agent. So ACL, acknowledgement, there's a problem. I think for us who don't think that there's a certain thing like white privilege, police brutality. I think we had to have some emotional intelligence as we share that information. Some of us are in biracial relationships. Some of us work with head coaches who might be a different race than us. Some of us are coaching kids who might look different. There's such an opportunity, but ACL, acknowledgement, there's a problem. The C is commit to be a change agent. We got to commit to being a change agent. And that goes back to, what resources do we have? How can I'm committed to it. Now, what do I need to help me become a better change agent within our young people's lives, within the lives of those that are in that community, so forth and so on. So I think that's extremely important. Thank you for bringing me back to that too, B. I was running around with ACL, and the L is first and foremost, man, we got to listen. And the other part is lean in. And so it's listen and lean in. That's what the L stands for. I think this generation of young people with social media, with everything that we've seen, I think that change can come. Now, we're talking about 400 years of systemic racism, but it can't happen overnight. As Bishop Jake said last week, I'm more concerned about what happens when the fire goes out. That was his sermon last week. And it touched me because I needed to get my sons to the protest. And the protest and the riot has its place, in my opinion. I didn't want Savion or anybody on our team just run out there doing what everybody else was doing. When I gave them Killer Mike's video, when he was passionately talking to the people of Atlanta, I think it spoke to the warrior in all of us to say, I need to do something about this. This is BS, man. We've had enough. Yeah, absolutely. The protest has its place. The riot has its place. But what are we going to do when the fires go out? What are we going to do when George Floyd and everyone else, and no, it's just not him, has been buried? And this is what I will say, if any of the ladies are still online, I think they've had it the worst, the women of color, because there's been some women, Shonda Bland, young lady in Louisville who was just murdered. And a lot of times it can still shift back to the Black man. There's an issue, there's no question about it. But there's an issue with race in this country, and I think we have a great opportunity. But ACL, acknowledgement, there's a problem. The C, commit, man, to being a change agent about this. Get the resources that are needed. Let's share as much information as we can. The L is listen and lean in. All I want to do with our players, hey man, what do you need from me? Coach, yo man, we trying to walk. You trying to walk? I'm gonna be there, bro. I'm gonna be there with you, and I'm gonna walk with you. And so I think we still have to be safe. Still think we have to, I see a lot of people in Texas. Texas has a big spike right now in cases as it relates to COVID. And as my aunt will say, she's a nurse practitioner and she's former military also. She'll say, Vinny, we believe in prayer, but also believe in science and medicine. If the experts are saying that there's a deadly virus going on, we still better make sure we're respecting it. And so I have no fear, but I think we certainly have to respect it. And I think we also, emotional intelligence, I need to respect someone else who may not be doing very well with it. The numbers have shown, again, in communities of color, that they are higher. And I won't spend a lot of time with some of the reasons why, but I have some people in my circle that are working at testing sites. But that's what they do, not just the testing site for COVID, but they test everything, and talked about the reasons why there's a disproportionate number of those of color who have taken it the hardest. It has nothing to do with the body being weak. It has everything to do with how we fight off infection. And that was education for me that I needed also. B, shut me down if you need to, man. Hey, look, I'm all over the place a little bit, but no significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. Dr. James Comer, professor of child psychiatry, Yale University. My wife and I share this quote. She got me a business card holder years ago with this, and this is what we're talking about, the learning. But this is what I also believe, especially when we talk about COVID, yes, but we also talk about the social injustice that has taken place. it very rarely happens where an impact is made in large groups. And so for me, there's a coach who I used to do life with who is white, Caucasian, Anglo, and I share a couple of videos with him, and he's a believer as well. I share some resources with him, and I said, man, share with whoever you think would be willing to watch. I'm blown away. I had no idea. And this is a guy I used to, we used to roam on the road together. And my brother, and I don't have to qualify this, my brother's an Army Ranger, man. He's stationed in Northern Virginia. I come from a family of servicemen and women. And when we dive into this, it's again, the acknowledgement part. And I think when we have to the person who may not be Black, brown, of color, African-American, say, well, what can I do? It's education first, and then using your significant relationships to help educate someone else. Because if that's your guy, if that's your girl, then you might be able to meet them at a place that they can receive it, at least watch it and say, hey man, there's something really going on. And to me, who thinks that there's so much alarming information that has been in front of us for years, someone else may not look through that lens. But I think that no significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. It's how I've always recruited. It's how I always operate in any program that I've ever been a part of. And Scoot would tell you, man, we had a young man that was getting ready to transfer one day, and he calls me, V, I need you to come to the office right away. And so Scoot's my guy. And so I was like, Scoot, what's up? Kid said he want to transfer. I listen. I lean in. Scoot, are you still here? Or did Scoot leave? Did he leave, B? He might have left. That's okay.
Yes,
And
I think he took off.
okay, and that's okay. And Scoot, all I did was I wrote a picture on the whiteboard, and it was a person with a graduation cap on his head, and it was a lady with hair. And this is my drawing. I draw like I'm in, the 9th grade or something. But I'm drawing a picture for the kid. And he's looking at me like, Coach V, what are you doing? I said, that's the picture that you owe your mother. That's your mom right there. That's you with a graduation cap. And that's your grandfather. Your dad hasn't been here. Kids from St. Louis. Dad hasn't been here. I love him and I don't know him. You're trying to figure it out. Your grandfather has been in every game. He loves you. He's providing for you. He drives for every home game coming down. Like I went at the kid in a way, but I had to give him a picture. And I said, that's you, and that's your mother, and that's your grandfather. And you owe them to graduate from here for you to get your degree. And they gotta see this. And I wasn't trying to trick the kid. We know how that stuff goes on. Coach, I don't know if I still got the passion. No, you got the passion, man. I'm gonna meet you where you are. I'm gonna love on you. But I'm going to speak into your life too at the same time. Hey man, you got to keep coming, man. You got to keep coming. It's necessary for you to get your degree. And so those are, again, going back to the significant relationship that I had with that young man that I thought helped. Last one, man, and then
Did he come back? That's the question. Did he come back?
Oh, 100%. No question.
Making sure the drawing. I was just making sure.
I'm trying to think. What game was that? Amorrow is up here. Amorrow know the kid. Christian Willis.
Oh, yeah, man.
Hey, and I'm trying to think. It was against, they won a game this year, and he made a big-time steal against Georgia Southern. You might remember that one. Amorrow. Huh?
He had a big shot against us this year.
Big shot against you guys this year, no question. So, I'm following those guys, did life with them. Them dudes know I love them. I'll shoot them a text, keep fighting a good fight. And just because I'm not there, it was Scoot and I talk every week. So it's still like I was a part of the staff. Yeah. But that was a kid, and that was, again, a way to just kind of lean in with him. And I gave him a visual, and I was able to kind of go at him and say, hey, look, man, now you owe it to them. Now you got to stay here. Next thing you know, Bellato didn't know we had that conversation with him. And so it wasn't, the kid started playing better. The kid started getting more time. And in the kid's mind, in his heart, he might have thought that we went in there and told Coach that he was thinking about leaving. We never told Bellato that the kid was thinking about leaving. And I think that's the emotional intelligence also as we do our jobs and supporting our head coaches if we're an assistant to know what are some things that we can help work through, take off their plate, didn't want to even stir it up, don't know how he might respond to it. Hey man, look, let's keep this thing going. Next thing you know, the kids start playing. The kid goes off one night, and I was like, dang, brother, he was supposed to have been transferred last week. And he's laughing, come on, Coach V, man, come on, man. But those are moments that all of us know that we have with our players, our coworkers, et cetera. And I think we need to keep studying that, and we need to lean into those moments. There are more moments like that than there are for X's and O's. And I know we all know that, but yes, got to get better. We all got to keep sharpening the axe, X's and O's, what we run. You know, I was at IMG. I was blessed with some good talent, but during those first years when I had Dwight, it was him and nobody else. You had to be creative trying to win some games. And, but I think that's what we have to continue to do. Last slide. Hopefully you can see it a little bit. You know, who desires change? We all want it. Hey man, something needs to happen. Again, it goes back to the acknowledgement. Who wants to change in terms of themselves? That's again, go back to the ACL. And we have to make a commitment, man, to being change agents, to continue to educate ourselves, love these guys. It's a lot going on, man. And we know it as the adults. COVID-19, we still don't have our guys back. There are 5 kids on campus. The majority of them, 2 of them are international students, and the other 3 is just a better situation than their home life. The kid got his own apartment. They got food. They can get treatment if they need it. Buzz had no comfort in having our guys come back with COVID going on. And that's a dude, man, that loves to work. He always challenges us to think, what's next? What are we missing? He wants to be first in everything except getting the guys back to campus. Because when we saw Texas Tech, not just ISO, this is a negative, but when we see they had players who tested positive, it's like, see, man, I ain't want that to happen yet. Is there more information? We all of us probably have relationships, Major League Baseball, NBA guys. What are they doing? They got a lot of information that they are privy to that we may not have. Hey man, we ain't got to rush back. We don't want to be first. We just want to get it right. Now, everything else we want to be first in, but not with someone's health. And I think, again, the emotional leadership to be able to have that. And then you see the last slide up there is, you know, everyone's kind of taking off when they say, who's going to lead the change? It's us. It's us that's on this call. Us that want to get better. It's us that want to serve. It's us that have people in our lives that we're in debt to that changed our lives. That's why I coach. It's why I pledged Omega. All my coaches were bros. I had to as soon as I got to campus. But these are things that I just wanted to share. I hope something came out with all of this that might be beneficial, helpful in some kind of way. And I apologize if I monopolized too much time.
No, that was phenomenal. I think it, you know, for those of you, and of course I have a relationship with Vince and have gotten closer and closer, but I know he has a gift, and I've identified that even more so as I've gotten to know him over this period. And, you know, sometimes we can all do a lot of basketball X's and O's. We can all do a lot of strategy, but without having good players and then knowing how to get the best out of good players and lead them and connect to them, I just thought this was a really important topic for us to dive into. So I appreciate so much depth and the time and the stories, the examples, the PowerPoint, the whole nine. So let's definitely open it up. I could ask questions all day, but let's open it up and have some questions.
Hey, Vince, Kareem Brown again from
Yes,
Niagara
sir.
County. Have you had situations where you haven't been able to lean in on a guy and kind of has that shield?
Yes, sir. I'll give you this. You know, you might see a little bit. I like quotes. And Abraham Lincoln had this quote, I don't like that person. I need to get to know him better. And I think that us not liking a kid or, yeah, we're the adults. Sometimes kids can do kid things. And we might not like how they're working. We might not like how their behavior was in certain situations, but it's exactly why we're in their lives. And so for me, I've tried to exhaust multiple ways to reach all of our guys. And I still do, man. There was a kid on our team who he loves the Porsche Cayenne. I hope I'm saying that right. I printed off a picture, man, and just wrote him. And it was like, hey, man, I saw this pic. I had to print it out. Just thinking about you, man. Just keep working. Kid's a white kid on our team. He's a walk-on. He's not going to play. I just know that in conversation, he loves Cayenne, the Porsche Cayenne. It's on his screensaver. I'm like, I got it. I got something I might be able to connect to. Man, that dude blew me up. And next thing I know, it led to, and what I found out, Kareem, was that he had been listening all the time. We just didn't have the proper, the nice, smooth bridge to open the conversation. What I will say is this is something else that we do. We journal almost every day in our program. What Buzz does, and this is a practice that I have, I call it mind dumping. I have so much stuff, man, thoughts about my family. I got a couple of different journals that I'll dive into for different things. But we'll walk in, man, and Buzz will sit down and say, hey, guys, write in your journals for like 4 or 5 minutes, whatever you want. And he's just trying to clear their mind. It's a practice that he has. A lot of those who study the Stoics right now, they do that. I'm journaling, man, because I think that it also allows me to solidify what my convictions are. So in any program, we talk about the non-negotiables and all those things, but what are the stakes in the ground for you as a man? Like, man, I ain't tolerating that. I'll give you one that I hope you guys don't judge me too bad on, and I think you'll understand why. The NCAA says that our student athletes, by us coaching in college, cannot utilize marijuana. My thoughts on marijuana have changed 180 as it relates to so many families of color had mostly fathers taken for very soft, now looks like soft charges as it relates to marijuana. Now, I don't condone the use, but I just think that it feels like, to me, the game has been changed. The rules have been changed. Well, dang, I've been mentoring and coaching and working in a jail setting, and that kid is dealing with, his dad was never there, and I mean, just a plethora of situations that have come as a result of that, and now it's changed. We can't tell our kids that, but that's something I feel highly about. Not saying I want somebody to use it. I'm not going to use it. But what I'm saying to that is, as I look through that lens and what do I stand for, well, hey, man, the rules say this. You're being afforded an opportunity to play. Can't do it, bro. And we know that marijuana starting to trickle down from the NBA, like coming back, they're gonna test for performance enhancing drugs, but they're not gonna test for THC, which is marijuana. Those laws are starting to get softened. We had Cory Booker, a senator from New Jersey, on our Zoom call the other day with our guys, and powerful. And I've been following Cory for a long time, not because he's a light-skinned brother, but he was a mentor first. I like his journey. I think he is for all people. Some things I don't believe in that he's about, but I like him. I study him. But he gave us some really good nuggets on that piece, and I know where he stands as it relates to marijuana. But that's just an example personally as it relates to me and my thoughts as I journal. And then for our guys, we want them to write 4 or 5 things to clear their mind, and then we'll dive in. And we'll have our guys take notes in their journal as it relates to, hey, okay, we're going to play against South Alabama. Hey, man, the kid Trey, man, big guard, tough. Y'all had the big fella. What was his last name, Amorrow? Ajani or something like that? Ajay. Boy, he was a problem, right? He was a buzz type. Under the basket, big body, had great with angles, all of those kind of things. But if we're playing them, I mean, write some stuff down. There's not one scout, the way we scout, there's not one scout given to one coach. Everyone has their own role within the scout. Somebody's got the baseline out of bounds, sideline out of bounds. Somebody got personnel. Somebody got actions they're running. Buzz want everybody in on everything because he wants you to be head coach, keep getting reps at it. It might be my scout, and that's not saying because I love what Amorrow, it gave me a lot of good reps. Amorrow, and I might be on the same staff, and he says, hey, V, yo, man, don't forget, out of this timeout, they might run that 1-3-1. Oh, no question. But all of us have that information, and all of us are trying to get that win. And I'm super paranoid in timeouts, man. That dude's trying to do something. Watch for the lob. 1-3-1 coming out of the timeout, coach. Don't forget. And so it's and I know that's the long answer, Kareem, and I apologize for that. But we do a lot of journaling. We do a lot of things with our guys that give them, I think, ownerships of their own thought. I think it gives them reps at dialing in to their own emotional intelligence. You know, what you about? You know, when Kobe passed away, dang, man, how these guys feel about this? We got a really important game coming up. Man, we took probably 2 hours showing video on Kobe. Dudes were choked up. We processed that thing. Buzz, hey, man, y'all take off. I'll see y'all in the morning. What? Coach, well, we 2 days away. We know what we do 2 days away. Nah, man. Hey, man, y'all dudes go get your head right, man. Whoa. Man, a lot of coaches wouldn't do that. Hey, man, you got to be tough in this. Let's shift gears. You guys take a break, come back. I get that. Not mad at that. But I'm just talking about the guy I'm working with and for here. And I'm just trying to be a servant. And I take so many notes, man, on the leadership. You guys still there? Okay. Yeah. But I think it's just good stuff. I'm just trying to get better, but that's just one example, Kareem, of how we do. I don't know if I answered your question, brother.
It was still good. Listening away here.
We got Reggie. Reggie look like he eating up there, man. Hey, yo, hang out, fam. Hey, look, I'm eating up all your time. Andrew, I see Miss Kelly up there. I'm not gonna slaughter your name. S-A-F-E-T, Safet.
Safet, yep, my man, you got it.
Hey, what's up, baby?
What's up with you, man? How you living?
Man,
Good to see
hey,
you,
look,
brother.
I apologize. I'm killing you guys' time. Dre Gray, he's there a little bit. I see he got the picture up. He might be listening. But I hope something, I gave you guys. Any other questions? Anybody else?
Coach V, man, I got a quick question for you, man. First and foremost,
Yes,
Brian, thanks for putting this on. Coach Morgan, you were terrific.
No question.
Seen you on a lot of Zoom calls, man, doing the mock interviews on Rising Coaches and stuff. And Coach Walden, man, I know you're a Boo Williams guy, 757 guy. You did a great job in IMG Academy. I was just a little upset when you came up to Roselle Catholic and smacked my Jersey guys.
No doubt.
Listen, you man, the staff you're on, man, it seems like from top to bottom, a lot of you guys are very, very sharp. You guys practice what you preach, man. And I know Buzz is big on the emotional intelligence segment. My question to you is Buzz is big on empowerment, and you kind of touched upon that. Can you talk about how he goes about that? I know he does that a lot in the summers. He's very hands off and lets you guys, coach the guys up and develop them and stuff like that. But could you just talk about how he integrates that, how the players buy into that segment, and really give you and your staff a voice?
Yes, I really contribute the fact that he empowers everyone. Jamie is really, really good, man. Devin, really good. Lau, first year on the road, but he's been with Buzz forever. He's really good, man. Coach Lair hired me at Liberty, and now he's the assistant to the head coach here. He lets Coach do his deal. Coach is doing more advanced scouting. I, along with Coach Lair and Coach Antonio, who's like our team chaplain / he spends more time with our guys than anybody. We do chapel on the road. And so we would just kind of rotate. And we did this year, we did the life of David. And it's not mandatory. We have those who have a strong walk, some who have different faiths. It's just, hey man, this is something we're providing for you guys if you want to come. Savion Flagg, I keep mentioning him. Buzz won't yell at him. because he'll shut down. So again, the emotional intelligent piece. Now he'll have us, a couple guys will pop him. Buzz not going to do it with him. And I think that's a big difference in him compared to years ago when I knew him then. Everybody had been thrown out and you coming back tonight at 8. Nah, man. And he hasn't gotten soft. I think he's dialed into his faith. I think he's dialed into leadership. He has a really good harness on what he's doing. And his winning at Marquette Tech, and I'm not trying to stroke coach because I'm on the call and he's giving me this opportunity. He's good, man. And he's good. And I think he himself is also reinventing himself. Hey, Jamie, what do you think about that? Okay, man, I ain't never think about that before. He has no problem giving you love, no problem giving you praise. It's a lot of guys, man, in that position that they want it to be about them. He's not like that at all. Now, he's the head ball coach. He's a CEO. If he needs to say something, this is how we're doing things. But again, he has a lot of guys that have been with him for a long time, and this is how we do things. And so, but that's kind of how he empower guys. Hey, man, I want you to be the head coach in this area. He'll come in and Coach V, we're doing a scout, and we're playing against LSU. They got Emmett Williams. Emmett played for me. Hey, guys, Emmett just had a baby in December. Emmett dad, man, just got out of jail when I was coaching him. That dude went some nights with the lights were off. I just want you to know he's coming every possession. That's all I got. He's coming every possession, guys. And so he's okay with you doing that. Matter of fact, hey, oh, okay, now I know a little bit more about how that kid's wired. He has no other way. Emmett signed with an agent. We'll see what happens. I think not having the workouts hurt him because he's a dog when he gets in that gym. I mean, he'll rip a rim down and guys will be like, whoa. So hopefully it doesn't hurt him too much in this process, but that's just an example. That's just an example.
No, appreciate that, Coach.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, fam. I see Mike is up here. Mike is a rising star too. Mike, congrats on the love, man, they gave you.
I appreciate it, Coach.
You're a star, baby. You're a star. On your way.
Carl, you can still talk to us, Mike. What you got for us, Mike?
Definitely.
Get a question tomorrow.
I'm running.
You can still
I got
yell
the girlfriend down. She has me running errands already.
He's definitely a star, man. That PowerPoint that y'all were impressed with, man, that's something that he put together.
Hey, look, and I'm glad you said that, Morrow, because the graphics I had, that was all Josh Chambers, man. He's unbelievable. And I thought, hey,
that's my
Mike put
mentor
that
right
thing
there.
together for. What you say, Mike?
I said that's my mentor right there. A summer at Virginia Tech camp changed my life.
He is unbelievable, man.
Yes, sir.
Whew, unbelievable.
No, I was just saying, I think my service was cutting out. I got the girlfriend in town. She's got me running errands already. I used to do relationship stuff.
No question. And I don't want to keep anybody any longer, man. I'm thankful, but I'm an open book. There's no taboo area. Just here to serve. If I can, I'm gonna put my number just in the chat. I didn't have the nice graphic. I'm gonna tell Josh that you
Morrow
gave.
had a graphic. Morrow had a graphic. I didn't have a graphic. What's up?
Hey, yo had the graphic, man. That was high level. Let me see if I can put this in here the right way.
Man, what you just did was unreal. The things that you spoke on, your ability to tell stories, your ability to just relay the message, just something so important today. Like, I just thought it was well thought out. You organized your thoughts really, really well. Like, I took tons of notes, man. I'm appreciative. It's good to know, like, that 10%, like you said, like, that's something as African American coaches, like, we try to make sure we do, but I think we just put even more of an emphasis on how important it is to make sure that that's our main focus in what we're doing, instead of getting caught up in the pressures of what, winning and losing. We gotta do that, but
no doubt
we've been put here for such a bigger purpose to be mentors and be an impact to these guys as they embark on their journey. So, man, this was unbelievable. I want you to know that I'm not just saying it, but I really appreciate
Appreciate those words. No question. Appreciate that, fam. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a little bit before we go. I wanted to just bounce it off of you because I think that so much of what you said is not only so powerful and so true, but it's so easy to miss it. It's so easy to just focus on, for lack of a better way to put it, the transaction and not the transformation, right?
Yes.
And so in thinking about the transformation should come the transaction that you want later. But
Yes.
I think all human nature to just think about the pressures that you have. Maybe it's you're a scout and maybe you're trying to get a guy to be on point and you're trying to be on point. So you're not as – so my first question is, how do you balance and how do you keep the awareness throughout the season, throughout the off season, and kind of manage the on the court, off the court connection? Because it goes back to that connection and investment when that takes time.
Yes.
And all of us feel like our time is stretched thin. And so you're in a specialized position. I didn't do near the work that you're talking about doing, but I was in a position like that when I was at UTEP, where you're not on the road. You don't focus on recruiting as much. You're
Right.
focused on the dudes. So I definitely know it gave me a different perspective of when I am back in an assistant role, you can't lose this part. But I think that is the beauty of having a bigger staff. So I'm curious, obviously you're not in the role right now position, and that's kind of your specialization. How does Amorrow Morgan or Andre Gray or Adam Hood or Andrew May or Sean LaBeouf manage that as they're still having significant coaching and recruiting and management responsibilities? How do you stay kind of balanced?
This is what I will say. Much like we have to use our technology, and I think with our guys, my wife, she works for Crisis Text Line. I word a little deal. A lot of people aren't comfortable telling someone they're in a crisis, but they might be okay texting that they're in a crisis. And so the more I watch her, she'll call me in, hey babe, come look at this. And there's someone literally on the bridge getting ready to jump off, and they're reaching out for help, but they're about to take their life. Over here, there's a young lady texting in, she's saying, hey, I'm about to, I locked myself in the bathroom. He's beating me again. Whoa. And so they used to do a lot of what we call rescues. And now they're afraid to call the police to go because something might happen. As we saw with, one young man called and he didn't know what was going on. A young lady got shot by a police officer and she was just playing a video game with her nephew, I believe it was. And, but my takeaway from that was we have to use the technology as much as possible. Every day I tweet out, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us be glad and rejoice in it. I think we can have text messages as busy as we are. I text the same text to our guys every Thursday about the weekend. I know they're getting it. And the reason why I know they're getting it, what do kids do? They mock me about it. Yo, Coach V, it's the weekend, man. Dumb stuff happens on the weekend. But in that, I'm saying, hey, be safe. I love you. Call me if you need me. And so sometime I'll send it again during the weekend because I got information that it's a party going on. Hey, man, don't forget, if Scoot was on, he would laugh at this. I found out where the party was at when I was at Arkansas State, and I'm parked outside like I'm on a stakeout. And I see our guys, and I'm not trying to judge them. And I never forget, Bellato texted me and was like, hey, man, I heard it's a party. I sent him a screenshot of me outside the function where it was at. He was like, dang, V, you on it. Yeah, man, I just can't have anything go left. And I think that's, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Should probably be at the house. A bigger staff will have personnel that are able to do that. For me, I saw it just like tonight, an opportunity to go and serve our guys and get in the trenches and also build equity with them. And the kid, Christian Willis, walking by, didn't know. I was outside. I rolled the window down. And I said, hey, C. Will, you all right? Yo, coach. I said, look, man, no one's in trouble. I just need you to know I'm here. We had a really good win today. We're starting to gain some momentum. The last thing we need is somebody getting in a fight, going to jail, something negative happening in our program. The kid who was hosting the party was one of our players. I text them that the police was outside. I see them, they're coming up. I get out the car. Yo, Coach Vince. I'm a relationship guy. I got relationships with the police officers there, and I had police officers come in and speak to our guys, not just the brother, not the black guy, but I wanted to be a diverse because I think our guys who are African-American, black, and so forth would be more interested. How am I going to deal with the police car behind me and it might be a white officer? So I had our guys in the locker room, had the police officers come talk to them, tell them what you're looking for in a police stop. And I tell you what happened. I got stopped one night. This is how I'll do. I'll work in the office. I'll leave, go home. I'll see my family. I'll put the kids to bed, and then I'll go back to the office. I'm usually there by myself. I can get work done. I'm a personal note guy. I send out, I don't know, probably 30, a real count, 30 personal handwritten notes a week. I'll send it out. My wife texts me, hey, babe, on your way home, can you stop by Walmart? Absolutely. I go to Walmart. On my way, it's probably 1:45 in the morning. Police officer pulls up behind me. Uh-oh, here we go. Lights hit, I pull in. I turn all the lights on in the car because I want him or her to be safe, and I want to be safe. I pull into a well-lit gas station. But before I did all of that, I was so convicted one day. I did the same thing at IMG. And I had our guys take their phones, their wallets, all of those things, and put it on the dashboard because I didn't want to reach across myself. So I got cell phone, wallet. I got my license already out. Before that officer got out of his car, I'm doing, man, hey, I'm putting everything on the dashboard because I want my hands to go from 10 to 2 to here. And I'm still asking, sir, ma'am, are you okay if I got everything right here on the dashboard? I need you to be safe, and I need to be safe. Mr. Walden, I thought that you were, it's late. I thought you went across the line, the thick white line at the stoplight. Yes, sir, I got you. He's trying to get me to talk. I said, sir, you're doing a great job. I know you want to get me to talk to see if I've been drinking. Haven't been drinking. This is where I work. I just left, just got that. Man, I appreciate that. But what he appreciated most when he pulled up, I said, officer, I just want you to know I'm complying with everything you say. And I could feel it come down. I said, after we got past that, hey, man, I appreciate he thanking me, I'm thanking him. And man, I really need a card. I really need you to talk to our guys. I need you to bring a few guys out. And it was powerful. But for me, it was another way to educate our guys, another way to arm those guys, another way to take a personal experience and flip it to make sure that we equip our players. Does that answer your question, B?
That's good. I got a couple of quick things before we go. So a don't. So people talk about the do's. So we're talking about EQ, right? What is a major don't, as in something that can really damage your equity that you built, or it may be even something as simple that we already know, common sense, but I want to ask the question. And then is there any book or literature that you suggest to the group? And then last, just like if you had to say, probably it's just ACL, but if you had to say some kind of simple messaging for the current climate of equality, social justice, for us to take with us, that's wrapped around EQ. So I know that's threefold. So I want to those three.
Okay, so I'll speak to the first part and tell me if I'm out of order. But the don'ts.
Yeah.
We can't assume. Don't assume. Don't assume that the kids are okay. All of us who have been recruiting players, don't assume that he got on the plane for the official visit. Don't assume that the kids made it back. Like, I think we can't assume. And I think in our time with, as teachers first, don't assume that a kid knows this, or they've seen this movie, or they've seen this clip, or they have an understanding. I think for us being teachers first, no significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. Build a relationship, build some equity so they can receive it. Don't assume. I think to me, that's the main don't. Don't assume that they are okay, man. I tell you what we're doing right now as a staff. I got 2 players that I call every single day on our current staff. Tomorrow's going to be a different 2. The next day, a different 2. Well, another one of the guys is going to call another 2. So each day, each player is having 2 coaches connect with them. FaceTime, conversation, the whole deal. Plus, I'm going to send my text because it's Thursday. And I'm going to see a couple of the guys who are here on campus that are going to be at the walk tonight. Don't assume. I think with our emotional intelligence, we may have a relationship. They might be doing what we ask them to do. Are they getting their work done? Hey, man, the kid told me, and I trust the kid, that he got it done. Hey, man, let me circle back and make sure that this kid got this thing done. He might be telling me because he loves me and don't want to let me down that he got it done, but he really didn't get it done. He's about to go get it done now. And so there are moments where I can't assume.
Yep.
That's the main thing. Second piece, was that okay, B?
No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay. Second piece, I would say, I think you said literature, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I read everything by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And Ta-Nehisi Coates, my last year at A-State, I gifted the book to players. In the particular book that I'm speaking of is Between the World and Me. And it moved me in an unbelievable way. We had 3 kids on our team my first year from St. Louis. And you guys might remember there was riots in the street in St. Louis. And I never forget going into practice one day, messing around with the guys. And I said, hey, yo, fam, are any of your family protesting in St. Louis? Yo, Coach V, you been watching that? Immediately it went up, but I think the current events, not to get away from the literature, but the current events, being mindful of current events are extremely important as we continue to connect with our guys. Ta-Nehisi Coates, I think he is our James Baldwin of our time. I think that he will sell more books as an African-American author than any other. I'm putting that out there. I like him. Went to Howard University. He's a consultant with the Black Panther movie trilogy. I think it's going to be sharp, very, very sharp. He wrote another book I just read. It was a fiction book called The Water Dancer about slavery. And I read another one. He has 8 Years We're in Power about the President Barack Obama's 8 years in office. Very interesting piece as it relates to the history of our country and what has come as a result, probably current day, what's going on right now politically, as it relates to race, et cetera. I got one more I wanted to add to you. There's a young lady named Jane Elliott. I've been sharing that with a lot of people. You guys might remember her. She asked the question of the audience, would anyone, the audience was primarily white, would any of you want to change positions with your Black counterpart? And no one raised their hand. She said, well, that's why it's a problem. She's really good. A few images are circling now. 13th by Ava DuVernay. I think I'm pronouncing her name right. 13th is about the disproportionate numbers in the mass incarceration of those of color in the country. Extremely powerful. Just want to give you guys some stuff where it's talking about history, fact. And I'm leaning into those individuals. And I think it's very, very, very powerful. I'll give you those guys.
Appreciate that.
Last question. What was it? Give it to me one more time.
Some quick thoughts on suggestions for, you've given us ACL, you've given us don't assume, anything else that's a simple phrasing that's like for our players, for our families during this time?
What I would want to say to all of us as coaches and teachers, we're built for this moment. Embrace it. And I know all of us have different views, different opinions, may have different politics, et cetera. You're built for this time. And those players are going to be looking at how we're dealing with COVID. how we're dealing with the social injustice, I just want to remind you to embrace it. I think we have to serve our players in this. We got to listen. This is a question that I've been asking of everyone I've spoken with. If I can find out something, a period in their life they didn't win an election, that's what my question was for Senator Booker. You know, what did you learn from losing the mayoral race the first time before you won it? Oh man, great question. But you know, just wanted to take some stuff away like that. I think we have to ask, and a lot of times they look to us to be the experts. We've never seen anything like this before. And I think that we have to ask them, what do they think is going to happen? What do you think is next? How can we best serve you guys? In terms of a phrase, I'll give you this one. I gave you no significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. To whom much is given, much is required, much is accepted. We have been given as a teacher an opportunity of our lives. And when I pull back the emotion of all of this and I look at it as an African-American man, I'm thankful that I've lived where I saw a Black man be the president of the United States as an African-American man. As a believer, I'm living through a pandemic. Man, on my knees, I'm praying for people. B, you and I on a lot of calls, man, talking about our faith. Man, we're living through a pandemic. As a believer, man, this is gonna exercise my faith. And as a teacher, man, social injustice. Woo! Tulsa, Black Wall Street. As a teacher, we have an unbelievable opportunity to lean in with our guys. I mean, you don't have to ask the question, you know, you just say, hey man, how you doing with all this? And next thing you know, and then, okay, well, what's the 10%? Like, how you really dealing with it? What can I do? How can I best help? So those three areas of my life as an African-American man, to be in a lifetime where I saw a Black man be the president of the United States, there was a moment. But this is years and years, hundreds of years of systemic racism that didn't solve it. So my question is, well, what's next? Okay, well, yeah, we got to do this. We got to register vote. Okay, I get that. Well, we need that same energy 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 4 months from now, not just as it relates to the political piece, but as it relates to applicable behaviors of how people of color are being treated. And whether that's a promotion, whether that's a raise, whether that's like one brother said, hey man, I appreciate the prayer, man, but I need a raise. This COVID has knocked it off, man. I appreciate the prayer, V, but I gotta get some Pampers, some diapers for my child. Like it's a time in this country where we're being squeezed, man, in a lot of ways, and I'm embracing it all. So that's all I got, man. I hope something has helped.
Perfect. I'll pass to Amorrow real quick, say any last thoughts, and then we'll close in prayer. I meant to open in prayer, but I've been on a few Zooms, and that Zoom I don't necessarily pray at the beginning, so I owe you.
I started too, man, to get myself, you know.
I owe y'all one, but we're gonna close in prayer too. But I'll give the floor to Amorrow one more time, and then we'll close.
Okay.
I just want to say thank y'all for staying on this call, coming on the call. B, thank you for the opportunity again.
No question.
We appreciate it. And it was so much knowledge passed along. I feel terrible that I missed these calls. You know, I've been working out. I might either.
I've been trying to pull Amorrow's arm for like 2 months. I finally got him.
The 12 o'clock time.
Yeah, he's helping me sharpen my recruiting skills, man.
Yeah. You figured out a way to get me here, man. That's something, man. Like, and you know, Vince, you did an unbelievable job, man. Like so many nuggets dropped. Like I'm very appreciative. Like I got to do a better job of reaching out to you. You know what I mean? Because
likewise, real talk. Yeah.
I could pick your brain on, man. We've had conversation. I remember
right
in the gym in Memphis, man. Just that conversation I had in that short period of time, man, I felt like it was impactful. So Yeah, we definitely, it's good this time right now with this Zoom, being able to share just everything going on, even though, there are some negatives, but there are a lot of positives to, what this pandemic has done, just bringing us closer together and helping us realize some things. So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the knowledge you were willing to give today. Real talk.
Question, appreciate it. B, thank you so much also, man.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Thank you guys. Thank everybody for coming on. Vince, let's close in prayer and then let everybody go eat some dinner.
Okay. You want me to pray?
Yeah, please. You're the guest.
Sure. Heavenly Father, I just thank you. I thank you for this day. I thank you for each day. I thank you for this opportunity that all of us have had to connect. Thank you for this technology. Thank you for Coach Burton, his vision, his willingness to share this platform with me and Amorrow today and everyone else that's on the call. Dear God, I pray that you have been completely lifted in our time today, that it's all about you. And in this world in which we're living, and we're just trying to make an impact for your kingdom, I just pray and ask that you'll continue to give us wisdom. Pray and ask that you'll bless everyone on the call, their families, that you give us great peace knowing that you are still on the throne. We thank you for all the gifts and the giftings that are on this call. May they be amplified. May they also be utilized in a way that will bring about change that only you can get credit for. We know that wins and losses in this business are necessary, but we know in the kingdom work, winning and losses for your kingdom is what it's all about. I just thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. And I thank you for the opportunity that you've given us to slow down in COVID, to connect in a way we've never have, for all of us to be able to connect with people that we've never known. And that when we come out of this long time out, that we'll be better individually and that we'll be better as a people. Pray and ask that you will continue to give all the leaders of our country, the leaders in our different programs, and also us the wisdom that's needed to lead our families, the wisdom to lead those that we're charged with. If those are on the call who have been affected by COVID, pray and ask that you continue to strengthen their family. We also ask that you will, that person that we may know or that person that may be on this call who's struggling with something, that you will show up right now, you show up in their lives to continue to change those things personally that need to be changed. We also ask that if there's someone looking for a job, someone struggling, that they'll be reminded that you're going to get it done. May we work like it's up to us, and may we pray knowing that you'll get it done. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Appreciate you. Love it.
Yeah, amen, man.
I appreciate you guys, man.
We'll be on again next week, same time, same Zoom. We'll send the link out. Feel free to join. Feel free to bring a friend. But we just want to keep paying it forward, investing and growing, and just sharing, man. So appreciate everybody. Have a blessed weekend, and stay safe.
Thank you so much, B. Appreciate you guys. Blessings, guys.
Okay.
Big time, B.